Today's episode is brought to you by First Detachment. Are you looking for a supplement brand that truly understands hardworking athletes? Look no further than First Detachment. 1D's real world experience is what I would consider, and they consider, battle tested. I have known Justin Harris for pretty close to 2 decades. And if there's anybody that I trust with nutritional and supplement needs, it's Justin Harris. If you guys have followed me and have followed the podcast, you pretty much already know how I feel about the supplement industry. For me to get behind any brand, I have to trust the brand and I have to trust the person both. And I'm pretty sure you guys all know why. When it comes to creating formulas and putting products on the market, and there's nobody that I trust more than Justin Harris. While I love all of their products, I'd suggest that you check out the Field Rations and WTH first. Go to www.firstdetachment.com and use the code TableTalk10 to save 10% off each order. The link is in the description. Today's episode is brought to you by Element, a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything that you need and nothing that you don't. In other words, no sugar, no artificial coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, and no BS. With Element, I love the watermelon. The watermelon tastes freaking awesome. I drank 1 pack every day, no matter what. People that train out here, it's sitting out here for them all the time. The boxes don't last very long. Right now, Element is offering Table Talk listeners a free sample pack with any purchase. That's 8 single serving packages free with any Element order. Get yours at drinkelement.com/Table Talk. The deal is only available through the link in the description. The other thing is, if you don't like it, you can just give it away to a salty friend and Element will give you a 100% refund. No risk, money back guarantee. Head over to drinkelement.com/Table Talk. I want to let you guys know that we just had a limited edition drop on the website last week of new items. That sweatshirt, flannel, t-shirts, shorts. Basically, the limited edition items are the items that directly support the Table Talk podcast. So if you go to elitefts.com/limited edition, or actually just the link in the description, you can find the limited edition items that we have now, which there's the one that I like the best is the shit suck good great, which is all emojis. The designs I always like the best, right? They're the ones that don't sell for shit, but they're the ones that I want to wear that I like the best. And there's the cigar one as well. And they're all there on the screen for you guys to be able to see. So if you go to elitefts.com/limited edition, the other thing that directly helps support the podcast that I haven't talked that much about is the Table Talk crew. The Table Talk crew is extra edition episodes that go out once a month. The content of those episodes are AMA related, question related, that come from the Table Talk Discord group, which is also part of being in the crew. When you're in the crew, there's dozens of ebooks that are in there. There's every seminar that we've ever done is put on there. There's courses that are put on there. There's series that have put on there. The original YouTube channel that we had for many years, before we migrated to the newer one, all that old content is on there. There's discussion groups for just general training. Basically everything that you can think of is on. So just go look at what that is, or better than that, just go to the description, click on join the crew. That helps directly support the podcast, which is how we're able to keep this thing rolling. America Health is a premium telehealth platform specializing in hormone optimization and preventative medicine. Are you looking to optimize your health in and out of the gym, improve recovery, sex drive, and quality of life? Have you tried speaking to your health professional about this and have gotten the cold shoulder, stereotyped, or just told it's part of getting older? You just go to americahealth.com/Table Talk and you can create your own lab, or you can take labs that we've had set up for them, which are based upon the same labs that I've been doing over the last 15 years. Or you can use their guided optimization. With this, they'll put you in touch with a patient care coordinator, which is actually pretty cool because you get to sit down and speak to somebody that can understand what you're looking for from hormone optimization and the preventative medicine standpoint. After that conversation, they'll determine which labs that you should and which tests you should have done, and then from there get the labs done. They'll review those labs with you and put you in touch with one of their hormone optimization specialists that can determine which supplementation that you should use over the counter or prescription. AmericaHealth.com/Table Talk. The discount code is Table Talk.
Today's episode is brought to you by EliteFTS.com. Founded in 1998 with the primary aim to live, learn, and pass on. Please help Elite FTS support this mission by smashing the like button, leaving a comment, sharing with a friend, and thinking of us for your training needs. If you can put it in a gym bag or load weights on it, Elite FTS has it.
What's going on? I'm Dave Tate. We are broadcasting from the middle of the Elite FTS weight room, where the underground still thrives and you're part of the crew. It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk. What's going on, guys? We're back with another episode of Table Talk. Before I get to my guest today, I have some quick updates, not ads, but updates. The Swiss Symposium is going to be on October 20 and 21. The update that I have here is the early bird rate, or the pre-registration rate, ends on July 1st. That's $447, which is 39% off the door rate. Confirmed speakers that we have so far: Mike Israel, Ed Cohn, Matt Wenning, Jordan Shallow, Brian Carroll, Dr. Eric Serrano, Justin Harris, Rob Rakowski, Dr. Stu McGill, Chris Duffin, Scott McNally, Jimmy Kolb, John Call, Juji Muchu, and Juji Mufu. And you can find more information on that and links in the description. The other thing is the Table Talk Crew Retreat, which is August 26th and 27th. This is for crew members only. There's 19 places left in this. What this is basically training, barbecue, bullshitting, and ball busting. That will be here in our training center, weight room, S5, whatever you want to call it. More information is found by joining the crew, and the link is in our crew Discord. With that, my guests today are Greg Panora and Luke Edwards. Luke is back again. I don't even know if I need to introduce either one of them, but I'm going to go through Greg's numbers because I already went through Luke's numbers before, right? So you got multi-ply, single-ply, and raw. Both of you, actually, you've competed for almost 2 decades.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And yours is 2006 to 2018. So about actually that's more than 2 decades, right? 6? No.
It's 12 years.
1.5. Yeah, like 1.5. Yeah, and that's just the competing phases. That's not the phases pre and post, because you're still both actively involved in the sport or helping people to build their lifts up. So Greg's best multi-squat was 1060, single-ply squat was 875, and raw 804, bench 815, 725, 580, deadlift 815, 735, 762. There's something I got to point out there, a little fucked up. The multi-ply is 2630, single-ply 2335, and raw 2110. There's no way your fucking multi-ply deadlift should be bigger than the raw. It doesn't work that way.
Well, I had a stroke.
That's no fucking excuse.
These 3 fingers don't really work anymore. So hold on to a barbell became a whole other thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So since you were on last time, you had another transplant.
Yeah.
So how are you doing?
Oh man, I feel great.
Yeah.
Each day is a blessing. You know, I've been able to do some incredible things just in these past 9 months. My recovery's going great. My blood labs have been the best they've ever been. Before the 2 kidneys prior, my blood level's better. I feel better, more energy. I've been able to give back more and do a lot more things. I just feel really good and blessed. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And outside of having your stroke, anything break?
I tore my quad and my IT band in 2016.
How'd that happen?
I was in California at the Record Breakers, and I squatted.
Well, no shit.
So what happened was I was my second attempt. I think it was 875 or so, and JP Price has squatted before me. If you remember him, and he squatted 1052 or something like that. But his feet were like so close together, and I was like, I got to do that. I have to do that. And it's the dumbest thing to do at a meet is to change things up. And I knew this, of course. I've been doing this forever. For some reason, I decided on that day I had to bring my feet in. And it worked great in the first 825 was the opener. Worked great. Then 875, and I went down. I started coming up, and it came up a little more. Ed Cohen was the head judge. Ed's like, dump it. And I think I probably could have locked it out, but I ended up dumping it off my back, and I kind of laughed about it. And then I took my knee wrap off, and it was huge.
So that was the raw squat.
Yeah,
then, right?
No, it was a single ply. Actually,
single ply,
yeah,
okay,
single ply.
right.
Yes, I've heard about that. Yes, it was single ply. Yeah, and so that was about a year recovery to come back to powerlifting after that.
Then when was that?
That would have been 2016, I think.
Okay.
Yep. So during that time, though, I benched 580 in a bench contest, my biggest bench of all time. So that was cool.
Yes.
And I actually squatted 725 in a comp raw after that too. So
after that,
after the quad tear and IT band tear.
All right, the injuries will probably be a reoccurring discussion as we kind of go through here. So I forgot to mention at the start of this thing, we have limited edition apparel, which helps pay and support the podcast. I purposely wore the ER or PR shirt because you guys understand exactly what that means.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of other people will look at it and be like, man, that's dumb. And we can probably look back and say, yeah, you know, that was dumb as fuck. Yep. But it was kind of the fucking truth, you know, with that.
Right.
When you were at Westside before he came?
No, I was there first.
You were there first.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's right. So how long, when did you get there?
I got there in 2006.
Okay, so that's 2 years after I departed.
Yeah.
And so you were at the West Belt thing the whole time.
What's that?
The West Belt location, whatever the industrial drive.
Yes,
that was the whole
yes.
time.
Yep.
So Demers was before that. And you're one of the dumbasses that slept in their car.
Oh yeah, I slept in my car. Yeah,
you know all that.
Oh yeah, for about a month and a half. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I still get a ton of shit about it. I think people still think I live in my car back there. Some of the other day I was on my Instagram, like you sleep in your car behind Westside and don't pay child support. And I'm like
now?
Like you meant like he still thinks I'm there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when you got there, did you visit beforehand?
I came and visited once. It was kind of funny because when I came and visited, like it was just me and Louie and some old guy in the gym. There's nobody in there. It was like his neighbor. He might even know who he is. Some ex-bodybuilder guy. Mm-hmm. I never saw him again. And so just visit. We would train every day. Then we go to his house. He'd grill, brats. We drink Miller Lite. It was fun, but I'm like, this is Westside. Like this is not what I expected. So Louie never explained to me what was going on. So I left. And I wasn't sure I was going to move here. At that point, I was going there because I was going to move there. I was absolutely going to move to Westside. And then I got back and I was like, I don't really want to be there. I mean, it's great, but I could do that here. You know what I mean? And then I decided at the last minute, I graduated from college, and that night I left for Westside with no plan or money. Mm-hmm. And I got there when I got back, everybody was in there, and I was like, oh shit, this is a completely different place.
Mm-hmm. Was it what you thought it was going to be?
It was scarier. It was scarier. Yeah, it was more intense than I thought it was going to be.
Scarier
honestly.
As how?
Just like everybody was fucking monstrous. Like I couldn't believe how big the guys were in there. I'd never seen anybody like that. You know what I mean? Like I basically powerlifted by myself until that point. Mm-hmm. So I was training in my garage or at the college gym by myself, and then so it was the first time I'd ever been on a crew. Obviously the crew, the best crew of all time, probably. So everybody there was huge. It was more intense than I thought it was going to be. It was more competitive than I thought it was going to be, which I loved. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was different.
And until Luke got there, how was it when new people would come in?
So, I mean, you had to prove yourself. You know what I mean? It was Louie. When new people would come in, usually they're put to the grinder. You know what I mean? Like I was. My first squat session was with 5 of the best squatters on the planet. You know, it was
Yeah.
terrifying. So my thing was, before I went out there, I was like, I'm not going to be stronger than these guys, but I can outwork them. So I started doing for about the year before I went out there, I started doing these crazy workouts, 100 rep sets afterwards and stuff. And so the first time I was there, we were squatting, and we did 6 or 8 sets, and everybody's like, I'm good. I'm going to keep going. And everybody got mad at me, but I kept going. I did like 15 or 20 sets because that's what I was conditioned to do. So I mean, it was more than I thought it was going to be, more intense.
What I've been trying to figure out, and when Luke was out last time and I had Dave out, some of the other ones, was to figure out in the time period I was there, because there was a change of location. I was at that location 2 years. I didn't like it at all. But it was, when you're in one spot for 12 years and you go somewhere else, it's just different. And it was 4 times bigger. So it was just fucking weird.
Right.
Is trying to figure out like what things stayed the same, what things changed, what things evolved in a good way or bad way.
Yep.
And you know how like new people came on seems to be one of the biggest changes that I saw, because when I was there, it was, I don't want to say it was rare, but it was slow.
Yeah.
Like maybe one guy comes in.
Yeah, that's how it was. Yeah.
You know, every now and again. Yeah. And then they were just kind of left the fuck alone.
Yeah, that's kind of, right. And you got to kind of figure it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so Luke was there for a while before I even knew who he was, you know.
Okay.
And new people would come in too, and you wouldn't know if they were a visitor or if they were going to be there or what it was too. So yeah.
It was was it annoying to you?
I liked it, to be honest with you. I liked meeting new people and seeing new lifters there. I liked when there was like different athletes there, like fighters or Olympic, like throwers and stuff like that. I always like training with those guys.
For me, the coaches were kind of weird, right? Like lifters would come in. Like, you could tell, with the lifters would come in, it's probably true with you guys, you can tell within fucking 15 minutes this dude shouldn't even be
of course,
here, right?
Of course.
But yet they're going to stay all week and fuck.
Oh yeah, that's obnoxious, yeah.
You know, this is terrible.
I had one guy in there in my fucking, my briefs. I went and couldn't find my briefs. I went out and the dude's wearing them. And I'm like, bro, he's like, I had 2 sets left. I'm like, no.
He just took your shit?
He took my shit. I couldn't believe it. He was squatting. He was like a 500-pound squatter too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's not like he was some great lifter.
Yeah. I can almost respect that.
Yeah.
Right?
Fuck.
It takes some balls to be able to do that.
Yes.
And so when Luke came in, was there anything that stood out? Because you were in the morning crew at the time, and you came into the morning crew, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So was there anything that stood out?
The first time Luke came on my radar was your first meet there. Yeah. You pulled 800 plus, right?
810.
810, yeah.
So, board.
Yeah, you got on the board. So that's when I first started noticing Luke. And for a while, I thought it was Mark Bartley. I won't lie. Because nobody introduced me. Nobody told me who it was. So then I started watching him. And then we started kind of training together from there. And that's when, we became, I don't want to say friends.
Best of friends, worst of enemies.
Yeah, exactly.
Then how did that morning crew, who was there when you came in?
When I got there, it was Matt Wenning, Jeremiah was there, Chuck was there, Tony Baloney, Chewy was there.
What about AJ?
AJ came later. AJ came later. Yep. Okay. I actually brought AJ. I did an article. He was interviewing me for a magazine, and I was like, you should come over. And he did. And when AJ got there, he hadn't lifted weights in like 6 months. So that was a weird one.
Yeah, he was super weak when he got there.
Yeah, it was crazy.
We were all thinking, like, what the fuck? This is a 1,000-pound squat. Yeah. I loved burying him when he first got there.
Yes.
I think he didn't train for a while. Yeah. Because he was trying to figure out this marketing business, whatever he was trying to do. Right. Because it's before he got to Westside, he came out to one of our weekend things that we had. He was strong as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
I still remember this. I don't know how many plates it was. Say it's 8 plates on one side and 7 on the other, or 9 on one side. Yeah. There's a plate fucking difference on each side. And it was heavy enough that you should fucking know. Yes. Right? He just did it, and then we're looking at each other, like afterwards you feel like shit. Like, dude, that was misloaded by a plate per side.
Didn't notice.
I didn't notice. Like, how in the fuck do you not notice?
I saw Tony Ballagoni do the same thing with 5 plates on one side and 6 on the other. He launched that thing. It almost went over the top of it. I had to kind of grab it and put it back down. And he stood up. He had no shirt on. I go, Tony, you tore your pack. He goes, I'll be fine. He had tear his pack. But
that's insane when things like that. But then when he came in, so it's by the time he got there, how many of those people? Well, I guess Matt was probably out, right?
No,
When he was gone, yeah.
Matt was
still there.
He was still
Matt
there.
was still there.
Was he?
So they were all still there.
Yeah, everybody was still there when I got
When did that morning crew that you were a part of start to jive? Right, because it's a weird thing, right? Because there's ebbs and flows.
So at some point during all this, I think that me and Luke kind of took over. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It really, when I think of the morning crew, it's me and him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was the only one I saw. I don't know. Other people were there obviously, but I became so obsessed with beating him. Versus anything else happening in there. I had no idea what anyone else. I didn't even know about other competitors. You know what I mean? My sole purpose for lifting weights was to beat him. So yeah, that's really all I remember as far as the morning crew goes. Is you.
In a way, I felt like when you broke all those world records, in a way, I took pride in that. Like it was kind of, I helped you get there.
Oh, 100%.
Because of me pushing. And every guy that I worked with, I felt like they broke the all-time world record because I helped them.
100%.
Because I was there to I was going to dogfight.
Everyone wants to beat you.
I want to win at everything. It's a competition, no matter what. And
that's how you have to be at Westside.
Yeah.
You won't survive otherwise.
Yeah. No, you get ate up.
Yeah.
Well, you guys were there for a long period of time, and when I was there in the morning crew for a decade, whatever it was, I can say, when I came in and by the time we moved out, myself, Chuck, because Chuck was still there, Louie, that was it.
Right,
that came in, that also went out.
Right.
Now, Kenny was close, because he had his drama or whatever you want to call it, like a year beforehand. But so there would be these times where you have this great fucking crew. It's just jamming, right? Then other times you're like, fuck.
Yeah,
this is it, right? And then Louie would be like, you need to find more guys.
Yeah.
How the fuck?
Why do you do that?
Well, how are we going to find more guys? We train here.
Right.
What are we going to do? Go to fucking Worlds and find somebody?
Right.
And so were you guys that nucleus? That the other people
I think
were?
so, yeah. I think we were the guys everyone was following in the gym. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and of course AJ was there, Wenning was there. Matt, when I first got there, Matt Wenning was showing me what to do. He's basically coaching me.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of great ideas, so that was cool. I didn't think he was there when you got there though, but yeah.
Yeah, he was. I had got there for a couple months, and that's when he was doing everybody squatting 315 plus green bands for a while.
Right.
And Lou got pissed, and finally they got it out.
Yeah. With the training, how did you guys manage that? Right, because everybody has this illusion that you walk in there and Louie
telling you what to do.
Yeah, Louie's got to drive a race board with everybody's name and shit like that, and it doesn't work.
How do we decide what to do? Well, I would generally decide. I think towards the end of it anyway, I sort of would say what we're gonna do, and so it was just whatever I wanted to compete against him at. Really, it was that simple. It really was whatever was on the bar. If the safety squat bar was on the bar, or camber bar was on the rack, whatever it was. That's kind of what we'd use.
For most of it, right? But you still the squat still physically has to be structured going into a meet.
I'm not sure it was all structured.
That wasn't even structured.
No, I don't think so.
Fridays became to where we would do some speed squats and then usually work up a heavy double.
Yeah.
Almost.
So were the speed squats even thought out at all? In any type of way?
No.
I mean, they started out that way.
Yeah,
we do 4 or 5 good speed sets, maybe 6, and then start moving doubles. I think most we ever did was 8 sets, and we start doing heavy doubles.
Right. The problem was, you guys trusted me to decide the workouts.
Yeah.
I was some jackass 25-year-old kid. I didn't know what was going on.
Lou said the strongest one in the gym.
Yeah.
So I mean, it worked well enough, but I had no concept of how to do that stuff. You know what I mean? I'd always trained alone. I didn't follow any sort of programming. So when I got there, they were kind of like, okay, now it's your turn to decide what to do. I'm like, okay, that one.
Yeah. So as you're doing that, this is fucked up. This is great, right? Because a lot of this is kind of like what we did, except we did have 8 speed sets.
Yeah, we would usually do 8 sets.
That were actually like a percent.
Yeah, right? Maybe they were.
Right, and and it would stay there. But then, if you felt good, you did extra
kept
sets.
Going,
and if you thought somebody else felt bad, you did extra sets.
I would holler if somebody stopped. I'd be like, "I'm doing your set for you too."
Yeah, exactly.
And I'd do it just to fuck with. That's what threw me off the last time we were here. And you asked me how much percentage of band is, because there were times we went way over 25% of band. Many times we do all band and sorts of shit. So it kind of threw me for a loop there. But if you are doing waves, yes.
Well, what I was trying to figure out is if there was any fucking waves at all, right? Anywhere, right? Where at least least with us, I think there was in the base speed set.
Yeah.
Now, if extra speed sets happen, which was a lot of the time,
yes,
and I would tell people if they asked, oh no, we only do that like once a month.
Yeah,
it was fucking like three times a month.
Yes,
oh yeah,
yes,
we were
absolutely.
every Friday.
Every Friday we're going heavy.
Yeah.
The thing about me too is that I recover very quickly, so I was always fine. I wasn't thinking about that. I was 25, 26. Everybody else around me is 35 years old.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just kind of do whatever on the bar, really.
And then if it was that dynamic day, what did you do after that, accessory wise?
Pull. Usually use speed pulls.
Yeah. And then after that,
reverse hypers, glute hammer.
No, wait. Let's go back to the speed pulls because it's probably gonna be just as fucked up, right? With what weight?
All kinds of different weights.
Well, okay, wait a minute. What was loaded before you started? Because usually it was like 405. It wasn't a fucking plate.
I don't think there was any planning. We were just sort of, I would just kind of go, what I mean?
We usually started like 2 or 3 plates.
Yeah,
usually,
probably, yeah.
Depending on the band tension.
Because we would load it beforehand. So there'd be like 3 plates.
Yeah, probably would do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was just a clusterfuck too.
I had no concept of what was going on. You know what I mean? Like, I was having fun.
We went fast though. With speed pulls, it was like boom, 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 boom. Like you go, I go.
Yeah.
There was no messing around. Even with squats, it was that way. Like even though we were going at higher percentages, we still kept the rest time. Like a lot of people don't realize we were in good shape.
Yeah.
Some of the strongest guys in the world would come in and work out with us, and they would be done in 3 or 4 sets because we moved so fast.
Well, I think in a way that kind of caps the percentages and the weight that you're using. Because if you're going every minute, you're not going to be able to work up to a true 80% or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Because the density is so high.
I think we probably tried though.
I'm sure you did, but fatigue,
Once we got to the heavier weights, we would take a little bit longer break.
Yeah.
But during the speed sets, it would be that way.
So then the speed pulls are the same thing except singles.
Yep, pretty much.
And then after that, what was done?
Usually some upper back, then glute ham raises, reverse hypers. The usual stuff. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Glute ham raise, reverse hypers, and fucking back.
Yeah.
All right, so now, that's the same shit, right? So, this is so fucking funny to me, by the way. So now you get to Monday, right? So max effort day. I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask anyhow. How do you know what exercise you're going to do for your max effort movement?
About 10 minutes while we're there.
That's how we did it, though, for real.
Sitting there talking around.
Yeah, it's kind of get an idea and throw it around, and then we go hard,
And then it's working up to a max single.
One of the craziest days I ever had. AJ Roberts wanted me and him to compete in a good morning contest. So he said band good mornings. So I was like, okay, cool. So what I assumed was we were going to put the bands over our neck and around our feet, doing like that. Like, all right, whatever. What I didn't realize was he was adding one to the bar, and so we kept adding bands to the bar and doing a good morning. It gets so fucking. You stand up with it, man, whoa! And he did one. He stood up with one and was like, "Nope, I'm done." And I'm like, "I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it." And I remember going down and hearing things just like tearing. These little sounds coming on my back and obliques. And I went down and I came back up with it. I thought I was gonna fucking die. I legitimately thought I was gonna die. And somehow I did it. He's like, "I'm done." So it had to have been 900 pounds of tension. It was insane.
Do you remember how much bar weight there was on it?
45 pounds.
So 45 pounds. All the rest of it was fucking bands?
All bands. No plates, just bands.
Wow.
No weight, just
like
bands.
A plate per side? Or like
nope.
Not even
bar.
that. Just a fucking bar.
Just the bar with fucking bands on it. It was complete misery. That's probably the workout that I remember the most, because I don't think I've ever felt the kind of pain. Before or after that. It was. I can still feel it, honestly, a little bit in my obliques. Like my serratus. I can still hear it a little bit.
Now, so after that movement, then what? The glute ham raises reverse.
I think I went home.
Well, not that day, but on a normal training day.
No, same thing. The same thing. Yeah.
Glute ham raises reverse.
I would always try to hit a little bit. My legs are kind of underdeveloped as opposed to the rest of my body, so I would try to do some kind of leg press type of thing. Remember that leg press he had? The plyo swing. The plyo swing. I love that. I jump a lot too. I do a lot of jumping. I could dunk a basketball pretty well while I was there too.
When did you jump? Was it after those things or before?
I would do it at the end. I would always do it at the end. Yeah. Yep.
So I assume the bench days kind of followed the same.
Yeah.
Same pattern.
Even a little less planning for those.
Less.
So I would always do my speed days at 5x5.
Yeah.
Which Louie at first liked, and then he hated later on. But what was weird was my bench was going up incredibly doing that, so I wasn't going to stop it. So sometimes he liked it, sometimes he didn't like it. It depended.
So how did you figure out what to use? Was a 5x5 the same weight?
No. I would kind of just fuck around with
Just
it, honestly.
max out with it.
Yeah.
So if the first 5 was easy, you added more weight.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Until it got like, fuck, I don't know if I can do another 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would also do speed day by myself. So I would train at Corey Gregory's gym in the east side, because I lived on the east side. So it was easier, to do that. So I would do it over there. So Louie didn't see it most of the time. Did a lot of declines over there too, I remember.
Okay.
Yep.
And then on the max effort day.
Max effort day was just whatever. I like camber bars, like some kind of cambers in the bar. That stuff worked really well for me. A lot of dumbbells, heavy dumbbell presses. Yeah.
How often would that replace the actual barbell?
I would try to do it once every 6 weeks or so.
So there was some
thinking.
thinking out now, right?
Thinking.
Like there's one rule now.
As
like dumbbells every 6 weeks. Everything else is just fucking.
I don't remember if I actually followed that rule. I'm just making it up now. But see, that's what it was.
Like it's what it should be.
Yeah.
And then what was the accessories on those days?
So I like flies. I have flies afterwards. I know flies typically aren't a big bench movement for powerlifters, but I use them a lot. Heavy flies, back, upper back, triceps. I do a lot of pull-ups. Did a lot of pull-ups then. Still do a lot of pull-ups.
Yeah.
Rear delts.
Rear delts, yep. Tons of rear delts. We didn't do, Luke and I were talking about this earlier, we did almost no shoulder work, never kind of any kind of overhead pressing. I rarely did any side lateral raises either, just rear delts all the time.
Mm-hmm. And this is pretty much what everybody was doing at the time.
Yeah. I think pretty much everyone was following us, right?
Yeah.
When I first got to Westside, though, Louie was like, "You're not going to do Westside. You're not going to do conjugate." And I was like, "What am I doing?" He's like, "You're going to bodybuild." He goes, "You're too fucking skinny." And so for my first, 6 months there or so, I was doing like a more traditional type of bodybuilding workout. I would do some max effort stuff, but then everything else was bodybuilding, since 10, 12 and stuff like that. It worked, did work.
This is for people that are listening. This is why it's so fucking hard to explain. Like what they want all these rules.
Right.
Like this is it.
The thing people have to realize too about Westside is you're only getting the best of the best. You know what I mean? So everyone there understands their bodies, understands the weights, understands how to move. So it's not like you're a beginner walking the Westside. Everyone in there is fucking insanely strong.
Yeah. And with these repetitions that you're talking about, I don't want to say that you didn't miss, but if you missed, you weren't supposed to miss.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So nothing was intended to be a complete true one-on-one, right, or 100%.
Right. I was trying to work up to a 97.5%, that's set like right before a back set, and make it feel good. I wanted all my bench presses to be done with 500 pounds plus. That was a rule, so that was pretty much it.
So then what would change if you started leading into a meet?
Nothing until Circumax, really.
Okay.
I don't think we'd change. I think we'd deload and Circumax.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like the fucking Circumax is less than you were doing to begin with.
That was the thing. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. The Circumax was easier than the training.
Oh,
The
my God.
contest was the easiest day we had.
Yeah. So how far out did that start?
Oh, God. I don't know. You remember?
Yeah. The right before the third week. 3 weeks out, right before 3 weeks out.
Yeah, so 6 weeks out.
Yeah. We used to do it. We do the light one. We do 600 plus a blue, green, purple. That was 1,000 pounds. We'd do 5 sets, 5 of doubles.
Yep.
And then the following week, we would do the max.
We had a single, I think, at the end, too. Did we do 5 doubles at a single? I think we
No, that was the following week.
I know it was all singles.
Yeah,
but yeah,
all singles, yeah.
I think I would do a single on the week before, too. I would do 5 doubles and a single.
And then we usually took our heaviest deadlift that day, right after the 5 sets of 2.
Yeah.
That day would be our last heavy deadlift. And that would be something against a band or whatever.
Yeah.
And then one time we did it the next day at the Arnold. You remember that?
Yes.
We circuit maxed the first day, and then deadlifted Arnold in front of a whole bunch of people.
We were doing exhibition.
08, 09, exhibition. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was
people
awesome.
were like from me to you cheering us on. I mean, it was just so crowded.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. So your heaviest pull was on that Friday?
Yes.
For the meet.
Yes.
And then the next day.
3 weeks and a day out.
Yeah. So the next day you went to the Arnold and pulled there.
Well, we didn't pull that Friday.
Oh, I got it.
We just did the squad,
Yeah.
a little bit of accessory work, and then we pulled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Went to exhibition at the Arnold. Yeah.
Yeah, at a booth.
It was being AJ, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, was there a time when you came in? It's a long time ago. Trying to figure this shit out. I think I remember a time, because there was a time towards either after I left. Actually, it was before I left when Chuck started training at Lexington on Saturday, but he was still there the other days helping us out. And then you might. maybe I wasn't. Were you there when I was fucking there? I don't think you were. I don't think you were. But there was a time when, weren't you training with Chuck over at Lexington?
Yes, I went for a few months, then a stroke, and then that was that.
All right, so that was after.
Yeah, that was after, yeah.
Okay, that was after.
Me and Louie had a huge fight, and then I left. Yeah, I'd been there for like 5 years,
all right,
4.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that makes sense now, because Chuck got to this point where he wanted to do different things, right? Yes. So especially with the squat. Yes. So he started doing it at Lexington, but still helping us on Friday, and that obviously created fucking issues before the issues, before the bigger issues kind of happened. Right. But he was still there. You know, some of that. I always have these mixed opinions about this kind of shit, because Kenny kind of got in the same boat, you know, where he would help us and then drive to Cleveland to train with Angelo to try to get his deadlift to go back up. But he's still fucking there doing helping us. So what difference does it? It was one fucking day a week. What difference does it make? Meanwhile, these other fucking schmucks wouldn't come in one day a week and go do their shit someplace else, but that was okay. You know, it's just this weird fucking Louie thing.
There's a lot of weird Louie things.
It was fucked up. It's like, well, how's it okay for this fucking guy over here that can't even fucking win a local meet, but it's not okay for this person just trying to figure their fucking deadlift out?
Yeah. I think he kind of decided right when he first met you if he liked you or didn't like you, and it wasn't going to change.
Yeah, there's a few guys he didn't like.
Oh, yeah.
He made it known.
Oh, very known.
That's one thing that I do think changed, right? Because when I was talking to Dave, when the time that I was there, he didn't throw anybody out. He would ask somebody else to throw him out. Like,
he asked me to do it.
Like, Ritter, you need to throw it out, or somebody else had to do it. There'd be a vote, right? Kinda, but there'd be a kind of vote, and then that, and then sometime after I left, that shit changed. Where it was just like, get the fuck out of here, like in a day. So that's legit.
I mean, there was this kid there one time who he would train alone at Westside, which is weird. And he would kind of like, his training time was kind of like moving into our training time. It was kind of getting annoying. So I was like, Louie, can we get rid of him? He's no purpose here. He doesn't compete. He's not a lifter. He's just, I don't know why he's here. And Louie's like, yeah, get rid of him. So I go over to him like, hey man, thank you for your time here, whatever, the usual speech, but you gotta go. And he's like, oh, okay, man, I understand, no problem. And we shake hands, he leaves. Then the following Monday, I come back in, and he's back in there. And I'm like, hey, Louie, I thought we threw him out. Louie goes, I've never seen him before in my life. I've never seen that guy before in my life. Jesus.
And he'd been there for how long?
A year, 2 years.
No, I get it. I get it.
That's Louie.
But that's the fucked up part, though. I mean, A, is he just fucking with you? Or B, is he serious?
I think he's serious. I think he's serious.
I mean, if you're not one of his top guys, he probably don't.
Yeah, he probably had no idea. I don't think he had any idea about powerlifting outside of Westside Barbell. Like,
no, he didn't. He didn't. But what you're saying is intriguing me, because there would be some people like a night crew and he didn't know their fucking names. And sometimes I'm like, does this like...
He had no idea who they were.
For real? Or
that's for real.
Doesn't fucking know. And
doesn't care.
Exactly. I mean,
it's the same shit too, that I'm sure you ran into and say, man, you need to do this. And then you start doing it, and then 15 minutes, what the fuck are you doing?
That's what we were talking about.
Right? And you're like, I'm doing what you fucking told me to do.
And I didn't say that shit, go over there.
No, and then there'd be in this argument, and I'm like, now is this like for real? Is he forgetting this shit? Or is he fucking with me right now?
No, he's being real. That's the solution.
I didn't know.
I do it now. I do that to my lifters now. It's the same thing.
Right. So they're there.
It's
right?
there.
So
now
you're doing
shit,
it. Now are you doing it intentionally?
No. No. I was like yelling at somebody. Like, you told me to do that. I'm like, oh yeah, sorry. No, I'm not doing it on purpose.
Oh, that's fucking funny. That's crazy as hell. You talked about the band thing, right? Were there other days that you remember like that were just
insanity?
Insanity, but not for the reasons that other people would think. Like that band thing's fucked up. Like we can all agree that's kind of fucked up.
It was a great idea.
Like other things like that weren't great ideas.
Sure. Oh yeah, I'm sure there's a million of them. One of the things that used to scare the fuck out of me, it's probably not a bad idea, but when you put a ton of band tension on a bar and use a board, like that overload when you first take that bar out, it's always felt like my pec was going to tear off, you know? So that was all. I never thought that was a good idea. We do a lot of it. I did a lot of it too. There's one day where me and Travis Bell, we had like 675 on the bar. I don't know how much band tension, the green bands, and 200 pounds of chain. And we were doing a 3-board, and it was like I survived it, but I was like, I'm gonna tear my fucking pec. And I remember feeling that a lot there. My back's gonna break. I'm tearing my pec. Like something bad's about to happen.
With the band thing that you're talking about, George and JM used to do that kind of shit.
Yes.
And you can't even with the lift off. You can't get it.
It's horrifying. You bring the bar out, like, oh my god! It's right to your pecs.
Yeah. No, if you could get it out, you know, I'm like, you're like trying 3 or 4 times to get it the fuck out, and then you get a 3-man hand out, or somebody lifts it out, and you're holding it like.
Yeah.
Thank God there's a board.
And those 3-man handouts with a band over the bar like that. It's like they bring it out and it just drops right on top of you.
Oh, it's terrible.
Because it goes down like that much further to the band tension.
But then you press it up, though, and you're like,
okay.
Wait a fucking minute.
That wasn't that bad.
But it's, in my mind, I'm still like, did this actually do anything? You know, because you don't fucking know.
You have no idea.
Exactly.
I remember when we did the giant foam when I first got there.
Oh yeah, the giant foam.
All that band tension.
Yeah.
Like 500, 600, 700 pounds of band tension.
I forgot about those things.
Giant foam and then pressing with
the butt sponge.
Yeah. That shit was insane. I love that stuff. I love those things.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
How much would they compress, those big ones? Now wait, are you talking with the squat or with the bench?
This would be we were doing it with the bench.
The bench. So the foam. So how much would those compress in?
Quite a bit. I mean, probably a good, I don't know. A foot, maybe.
Oh, so it was not just a couple inches.
No, we had a lot of weight on it. Went down quick. With the band, too, we had band tension to it even more.
Yeah, it could sink pretty low if you had a good amount of weight on it with squatting and benching.
Yeah. All right, that's the one thing I could never tell from videos if they showed, because there's a big box. You know, it's how much compression is really in there. Yeah. And then the other thing that always go through my mind is this is just a fucking giant ass sponge, man. It's fucking hot. Yes. I know what it's like. You know? It's like it's hot in there. There's fat fuckers with fucking acne all over their ass crack. You know, it's fucking just sopping into this sponge.
I used to sleep on it all the time.
No.
My girlfriend would throw me out all the time. Me and my pit bull would go sleep there.
You slept on the fucking butt sponge,
man. All the time.
Better than your car.
Better than my car, yeah. Yes, it was.
Fuck.
I bring a pillow and a blanket.
There's a story people didn't know about. So you were sleeping at Westside on the butt.
I slept at Westside quite a few times. Yeah. When I first got there, I slept in my car. I actually took my girlfriend there today around there. So I used to sleep around the building. We get done working at about 11:30, and I pull around the building. The hard part is you have nothing to do all day. I didn't have enough money to for gas, like to drive around town and do stuff. So I was sitting there all fucking day, losing my mind.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah. What did you do all day?
Nothing. I sit in my car and stare at my ceiling. It was before like phones were cool. Those phones didn't have the internet on them, so it was nothing. It was just nothing. Just boredom all day. I wait for people to leave, and I would go in and listen to music, you know, because they had the CD player anyway. So that was pretty cool. But
all right, so if they left, then you went back.
I would go back in and hang out and play around with shit and look at books and listen to music. But
when you guys were there training and the other people would I'm trying to think of how to ask this question. I don't want to say we're falling out of line, right? But we're on that edge. Yeah. Who was the person that was most verbal about getting on their shit?
I mean, I think maybe me. I didn't like. I don't like. I don't like that shit. When people aren't doing what they're supposed to do in the gym, it makes me lose my mind. So I think I was kind of the one who would do that, who would deal with that stuff. You know, most people, I mean, like our group, our morning group was always pretty good. And a lot of times it was also me falling out of line too. Yeah. I was the one partying, this was me. So I guess I don't know who did that. Louie yelled at me a lot. But no, I think our group, like our core group was so good and so strong, you know. We were pretty much all on it because we were so invested in each other's lifting too, you know what I mean? I wasn't going to let him beat me, you know?
Yeah. But over the time there too, that changes, right? right? Because there's only a base of that group.
Yeah.
And somebody asked the other day, I don't know what it was, a podcast or what it was, you know, how do you build a crew? You know, and it's like, well, first off, you got to define it.
Yeah.
I mean, because you guys have been out of it now in, you know, different places. It's like, what exactly does that mean? Because to some people, it's like meeting together once a month. You know, other people, it's like you know, while there, it's a completely different fucking thing. It's almost unrealistic once you get away from it. And then you look at it's impossible.
You don't realize that people aren't like the guys at Westside really anywhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not that they're outside of there. They're different in a bad way, but it's just a certain way that the gym conducts itself in there that you can't really build or teach people how to do that. It sort of just falls in line in that place at Westside, you know?
And it was, I mean, it's the culture of Westside. Being away from it and looking into it, and you guys may have similar perspective. I don't know how much of it was absolutely necessary for people to get strong. Not necessary for the people who were there to get strong. Yes. Right. Because now you're dealing with a different mindset. That other mindset is not going to flourish someplace else. But for most, we would say they wouldn't be able to handle it, but they probably wouldn't even need it either.
No, of course. We're realizing that now, you know, but it was, the reason Westside is as good as it is because of those crews, you know. It's because everybody wants to be that badass, you know. So what I try to do with my team now is do it online. You know, there's always going to be one guy and everybody who steps up as a badass, and everybody's going to kind of try to follow him. And that's what made those crews so good. I mean, there was definitely crews elsewhere too, like, you know, Big Iron, same thing. You know, Sean Frankel was the best lifter I've ever seen. Yeah, but I think that's gone from powerlifting a lot of those crews. You know,
well, what I was trying to explain is you have to have an anchor.
Yes.
Right, and the anchor it can be 2 people or 3. It's got to be enough to spot on a heavy fucking day. Because obviously every day was heavy for you guys, right? But I mean, if it's not, and it's the real. This for probably most of your clients, it's not all the time. So it's like maybe every 2-3 weeks there's a really heavy fucking day. You don't ever want to be in a position where, man, I don't know if I can go in and do this because I won't have anybody to spot. So there has got to be at least that anchor in there, and then other people in a crew can kind of move around that with that, where you know that. Secondary level, I suppose, of the crew is what changed a lot when you guys were there, right? And that, how did you look at that? Because you almost know it's going to change, but you don't know who it's going to be, right?
I mean, I wouldn't pay a lot of attention, honestly, to new people in there. You know, they're just kind of there. I would always assume they were going to leave, you know? Besides, like, me, him, AJ, who else? I guess Tony B. We had a crew. Like we were good. We didn't need anybody else. So if somebody came in, it was cool. But like, I didn't expect them to be around. So you probably have to be for a month before he's going to talk to you.
I didn't bother even learning somebody's name or talking to them until they were at least there probably 8 to 12 weeks, because that's how it's going to weed them out, you know. We
saw too, Luke, a lot of people coming in and out too, like, you know what I mean? But a lot of times too, you didn't know who visitors were, who the lifters were, so you had no idea, you know, this guy an Olympic shot put thrower, or is this guy some guy from down the street, you know?
It was the same as I was there. I would say you said a month, you said like 12 weeks. It would be like a year. Fucking Chuck was like 3. You know, I mean, just you had to do something, I suppose, for him to even not that he was I mean, you guys trained with him. Not that he was a fucking asshole in any way.
It makes perfect sense.
You know, he just wasn't going to devote his time or attention to somebody that he knew. What do you call him, a curd or whatever?
I think he respected people though that brought it. You know, like you could earn his respect pretty quick. If he knew like you were for real. You know?
And it wasn't strength related.
It was this. It was yes. My first nationals was in Vegas, and there was this moment where I was walking out to my last deadlift, and maybe my first deadlift. It was me and Justin Gralf, if you remember him, were pretty close, and so I had to pull a big deadlift, and so I started walking out. I never forget, he got in front of me. He's like, "You better fucking do this," and I'm like, "I'm going to." He goes, "No, I don't think you understand. You better fucking do this." I'm like, "I promise, I'm going to." He goes, "It's not for you. It's not for me. It's for fucking Westside." In that moment, like, changed everything for me. I did it obviously, and it was you know, one of those things I'll never forget. You know what I mean? So when people say like, "When's your next contest? You're ever gonna compete again?" Probably not, because you know what? That's never gonna happen again. You know what I mean? I'll never feel that again. So. That was just one of those incredible moments at Westside. Because you have to understand, Chuck for me, like growing up, was like my God, you know. It was more than just an idol. He was like, I had pictures of my locker, pictures of my bedroom. Like, I'd print them off the internet and then in the library, you know.
I had a couple posters.
So what did it feel like when you took him off the board?
I mean, you know, it was
felt great.
Yeah, it felt great.
I mean, you don't lie.
I mean, it's always bittersweet, though. You know what I mean? Because it's like, that's my hero. You know what I mean? That's the guy who got me here. You know, you know, it's everything. You know, so I remember like a weekend when I was in college, I was dating this girl, and we drove all around the Northeast looking for the Chuck V hat, you know what I mean? So I finally found something kind of comparable. So like, all right, this will work. So I brought it to the meet and I put it on. And there was like 9 other guys there with the same hat on. And we had this awesome judge, Maris, up in Maine. And she was a short, you know, stocky, mean lady, tough as nails. And she goes, "Take those goddamn hats off. You're not Chuck Vogelpool." And I was like, oh.
She's the one that wore the tiara, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Right?
Maris Steinberg, yeah. She was awesome.
First time I met her was after a meet in Bolingbrook, Illinois, and she goes, "You look like a young Joe Ladnier." And I was like, "That's so fucking cool."
That's awesome. Yeah, she was awesome.
And my mom was like, "That's Luke Edwards." She goes, "Oh, I know his name."
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, she judged all my first meets. It was great. She used to yell at me all the time.
How many meets did you do before? So you started competing in, I don't have my fucking glasses
like 99, 2000-ish, yeah.
So how many years until you?
So about 6 years. I actually started in 99. I did a contest in 1999. I can't remember who it was. So about 6 years, 7 years before I went out there. Yeah, but I started training at 13. So
and how were you training for the meets then?
Westside. Or my vision of Westside,
right?
what I thought was Westside.
Yeah, so
I was doing Westside. I had one green band, not two. I had one green band. That's what I used. I figured out a lot of cool shit to do with it.
I bet.
Unlike this, wait, hold on. What do you mean?
So,
you put it under the bench?
I would put it. That's one of the things I would do with it. Yeah, I found a whole bunch of just weird shit to do with it because all I had. I was poor. I was in college. I didn't have money, so yeah. I talked some guy to give it to me from the local gym. So I was like, just give me one green band.
Well, the weird thing to me is you thought Westside was bands.
Yes, so that was the first thing. Yeah.
When now you guys are working with people outside of that, it's crazy, right? Because if they say Westside Conjugate or whatever it is, everybody just assumes that's bands and shit.
Right.
And I'm sure most of the clients you're working with they're using it or they're not.
Right.
You know, if they suck, they're probably not.
Yes.
Right. It's a certain point where it's when you've been working with clients now, how long? A couple years, right?
Yeah.
And you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
So when you got out, it's like a reality check, right?
It's a huge reality check. Yeah. That was the hardest thing. It was kind of like leaving prison and getting out. You realize that people aren't like the people there, you know?
Yeah.
Nobody's like that anywhere.
Yeah.
That was the biggest reality check for me. You know?
I never felt like I fit in anywhere, but at Westside, that's about the only place.
Same, man. Same. Yeah, same.
It's different though when you're coaching people and if you're helping them in a gym.
Yeah.
You know, because that reduces that awkwardness. Right. But it's still weird as fuck because for me, you do seminars and stuff like that too. For me, it was even while I was there and I'd go out and do seminars and you'd be speaking to people and trying to teach them things. And it's like, oh shit. And a lot of things are going through my fucking mind. Like, first off, like, obviously we're not doing a good job explaining things. And then the second thing was, there's different ways to do things that work, which was really hard to go back and say to Lou. You know, like, and sometimes you don't want to fuck with those things that are working really well for somebody, which was a weird thing. And then people, I'm trying to politely say this, they think they're more intense and more dedicated than what they really are.
Everybody does.
But that's a hard thing too, you know, because it's the most dedicated they've ever been, so they don't know any different.
How dedicated should somebody be though? You know what I mean? Like, us at Westside, of course, like we were the best in the world. So that was, but like as far as for a normal person, like I always go through this back and forth in my mind because I try to coach like it's the most important thing in the world. But for most people, aren't ever be a world champion. It's just playing golf for most people.
Consistency.
Yeah, consistency is everything.
Just tell them, just show up, and you don't know what happened. Having a bad day, just show up.
Yep, just show up, do the same thing.
And you'll feel so much better than you did. 3 hours taking a nap, watching whatever on TV.
100%.
Now, are all your clients online, or are they in person?
About 90% are probably online. And I coach a few people in person, but most online. From all over the world, all over the place.
Yeah, and then yours are
same. I have a pretty good online base. All over.
So you've been doing it for a long ass time. I mean, I can say you were doing it before almost everybody, but in the very front running of this. Obviously there's obstacles and disadvantages of being able to do it online, but I used to bitch about it all the time. I would rant to no end, but people have been doing it now for over a decade, and it's helping. And I can no longer sit there and say the shit don't work. I can't. The proof is against it.
Yes. It's probably not the best way to do it, but for a lot of people, it's the only way to do it.
It is the only way, right? And even with that, it still may be more optimal than if they did find somebody who's got a garage gym that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
There's a lot of that,
Right, so there's that too. What have been some of the biggest obstacles that you've seen outside of, because you're coming from a weird place. You've been doing it. He's probably more at risk at this than what you are because you've been through it, but he can help you go through that because it's weird, right? So what were some of the earlier obstacles that you had?
Just mentality, obviously, because you expect when you leave Westside, like we were talking about, like everybody has that same mentality we had at Westside, and nobody does. So getting over that, just having people like the idea. There seems to be this idea that powerlifting is like a fitness routine. It's a sport. Powerlifting is a sport. And so you get people in there, people will say, oh, this is easy. Powerlifting is easy. And it's like, why aren't you a world champion? Oh, I don't do contests. Well, you're shooting a fucking basketball in your yard saying basketball is easy. The struggle is in competition. You know what I mean? Right? Like the struggle comes in a competition. That's where things are hard. Like all sports. I go throw a baseball against my garage, but it's, say it's easy. But, so the biggest thing is getting people to understand that. You should be on my team to compete. I'm getting ready for competitions, Like, why else would you? I don't understand why people, like, just go do, like, pseudo bodybuilding stuff, go do, machines, go get muscles, like, So that's the biggest thing for me is just getting people to compete. And I want people competing on a schedule, twice a year. And that way numbers come up, we have new numbers to base things off of that actually makes sense. And so, that for me is the hardest part is that.
It's the same thing you're dealing with?
No. Main thing's technique. And then another one is the lesson I learned from Lou's, the one he never taught me, was I was always gun-ho, 100%, let's go. I wanted to beat everybody. I wish he would have took me aside and said, all right, we need to come back. Because we were competing every 3 months, Wish he would pull me back and said, hey, Lou, slow down a little bit. Let's just train. Because when I initially got there, that's all I wanted to do was just train. And Chuck talked me into doing a meet 6 weeks, into it. So I did it, but I just wanted to train. And that's what people, I think, need to learn is don't just compete, train. You need to train. And another thing is they always they see the big squats, the big benches, big deadlifts. That's not where you're getting strong. The accessory work. You got to push the accessory 100%. Work. Nobody wants to do the shit because it's not pretty. That's a big thing is I push the volume on accessory work and it's crazy how they get stronger in accessories and the stuff's carrying over in their lifts,
Well,
Absolutely.
they build muscle. I mean, it's as you said when you first came to Westside, Louie was saying you need to do bodybuilding shit to build muscle. And Louie used to say all the time that we were always ready to compete within like 3 weeks, which is kind of bullshit, but kind of not, right? It's just the only reason it was kind of bullshit is because the drugs were not peaked all the time.
I think
I could, but not at the same
honestly,
level.
Dave, I think I probably could have.
You never lowered your dose.
Well, I never took much. I never took that much.
Okay.
That's why
bullshit.
I'm still here.
That's bullshit. I'll tell you why that's bullshit.
Well, you know why? You got to define what that much is. Because some people will tell me their TRT dose is a gram.
I'll tell you why that's bullshit. I'll tell you the story.
Let's go.
So we heard Big Iron stayed on 2 grams year round. So we were like, fuck this. Big Iron's doing 2. We're doing 3 of test, just test. And so, yeah, we did 3 grams.
I don't think I did 3 grams.
Bullshit, man. He's fucking lying. We got big as fuck, got emotional as fuck, had heartburn that never went away. I did anyway. and the lift, and it didn't help my lift. I didn't vomit out.
The big point here that you stressed is just test, right? So what else is in there too?
I mean,
so I got a funny story.
No, we're still going.
Okay, all right.
3 grams. You want to hear with just test? Like the fucking orals are not.
I don't remember this happening. So
you know what I'm saying? It's like, there is the golden rule that orals don't count, right? So we'll just exclude that.
I was never a big oral user because when I got to Westside, I was already, fairly sick. So I didn't really mess around with orals.
All right.
I tried to keep everything as safe, for me. So it was all the other stuff. But I'd say there's probably a little bit of EQ in there.
A little bit, like a gram?
500 probably. Sometimes Trenbolone. I didn't really like it. Some people thrive off it, but I didn't like it.
Why?
The nightmares, the night terrors. I already had bad dreams anyway. So I didn't need added. And the tren cough was bad. And I never seen the carryover. It made me strong while I was cutting. I think it's a good body for bodybuilders. Well, maybe it was. I don't know. It's very toxic. But it just didn't seem like it carried over for me lifting wise. I didn't really mess with that.
So then this brings up so many other questions though, because like scar tissue.
Yeah.
Right? So you're shooting everywhere?
Yeah.
Right.
I've done everything.
The reason I'm saying this is I've known people that have run 3 grams, some people run 4 grams, and they refuse to shoot anywhere but their glutes. Then their lower backs are fucked up all the time. Like, dude, you got a fucking softball scar tissue pushing against your sciatic nerve.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah.
That's where my favorite, I say.
All right, so that's off season, right? So basically he's saying that's what your off season.
No. This was one time for like 6 weeks. I
don't think that's
we
part of it.
usually stayed on about 500 year round.
Yeah.
And then after meets, I would go off and just stay on like a low, like 100 milligrams of EQ. Just for a little while, for 12 weeks or whatever, and then switch back to test.
See, that's kind of how I would do things. Is you would run it for a meet, then you'd have what you would take after the meet, and then that's where there's no way after the meet taking fucking EQ or lower balling or whatever the fuck it was, then I'm going to produce the same as what I would for the meet because I'm 15 pounds less bloated. I could give me some phenobuterol in a couple weeks, but
that's what Lou meant about the 3 weeks.
I know, but not within a month, right? Now, you were going to say, and when he was talking about that, you were kind of trying to justify that he was lying, which was probably bullshit.
Never done that much, I swear.
You can call AJ Roberts right now.
Call AJ Roberts. I was not part of this.
I'm tempted.
He knows. AJ knows.
I mean, most of what I would take is honestly Test, though. Test was always the best. Test is, some Anadrol. I had a funny Halo testing story, though. So I can't remember which meet it was, but Louie's like, you need to start taking Halo testing. And I was like, okay, cool. I didn't know what it was, but so he gave me a bottle. I'm like, all right, how much should I take? He goes, drink a bottle a day.
What?
I'm like, a bottle a day? He's like, yes, a bottle of vials of Halo. And I'm like,
they're vial. All right.
No, it was a bottle. It was a bottle. It was a big bottle. It was insane. So I'm like, okay. And so he's like, yeah, morning. He goes, when you wake up, drink a third of it, lunch, and then nighttime, finish it up. And I was like, okay. So I started doing it, and I was breaking out in this insane rash all over my body, and my eyes were turning yellow. My nose wouldn't stop bleeding. It was a mess. My blood pressure must have been 9,000 over 20,000. So I go to work one day. I'm sitting there, and my nose starts. I'm talking to a couple, trying to sign up a couple for the gym or whatever for the time, and all of a sudden my nose just bursts, and I'm trying. I don't know what to do, so I'm trying to keep signing them up. My nose is gushing, and I hear, Greg, please come to my office. Craig, come to the office. So I go to the office. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, can you try to look like you're not on steroids, please? I don't care. I'm just trying to. So I go to the gym a few days. So this goes on for about a week and a half, right? I'm drinking a bottle of this shit a day. I'm dying. I'm going toxic. I'm turning yellow. Like it's a disaster. And so Fred Bolt, remember Fred? Yeah. So Freddie comes in. And he's like, hey, I heard you're taking a Halo. It's just intense. And I was like, yeah. I was like, how much are you taking? And he told me, like, I don't remember what it was, but I'm like, I'm drinking a bottle a day. And he's like, holy holy fuck, what? He so he calls Louie over. He's like, Louie, what the fuck? And Louie's like, I never told him to do that. And I'm like,
that's why he didn't take much test. He had that halo test.
No shit.
What was that you brought in the one time when we squatted? Was it check drops?
Probably. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the stuff he had, because it was always like hit or miss with it. You know?
It was me. That's stuff I had.
Yeah, he had. This was, we squatted. We both all worked up to like 1,100 that day, and they were good. And then like you had this tingle in your tail, man. I just wanted to go fight. Good thing like I worked at a prison because I was ready to go fight.
Check drops were awesome. Yeah. I guess I did take stuff. I forgot about that.
So again, if we go back to what you were saying before, we're excluding whatever you were drinking.
It was live.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever you were drinking or dropping or taking through your mouth didn't count. Right?
It was only for like a week and a half, though. I went back to normal dosage after that.
So you're really only taking a couple cc's a test.
Yeah.
400 milligrams. 500 milligrams. 5,000 milligrams of halo a day.
Yes. But I had no concept of it. I knew nothing about steroids. You know, when I get to Westside, I really take them for about 6 months before that. And so when I get to Westside, I didn't know how to ask. I was like, should I just ask him? So I'm like, hey, Louie, I'm out of steroids. He was like, okay, cool. He goes, he writes down an address. He goes, right around the corner. He goes, go to that guy's house and ask him. I'll call him, tell him to come in. And I'm like, okay. So I'm driving around, and I pull up this house in like the bottom. So like there's 1,000 pit bulls outside in this yard, like trying to bite me as I'm walking in. And I go around the corner to the side door, and I knock on the door, and this girl answers. She's wearing a bra. This girl in a bra with like her pants, like, you know, definitely a stripper. And she got a kid, you know, smoking a cigarette. And she's like, Tony, get your ass down here. And so I don't want to say who it was, but he comes down and he's like, yeah, man, what do you need? I'm like, tests. He goes, here, you know, this one. I opened it, but I don't think I did anything out of it. Here you go. I was like, okay. So every shot I would do with that, my whole ass would fucking knot up. I had like baseball size. So my first nationals at Westside, I had these giant baseball size things, like, you know.
People listening probably don't know what the hilltop and bottoms are.
Oh yeah, you got to see it.
It's bad.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Must see before you.
Must see. Oh, he's shaking out of me there a few times.
I wonder why.
I used to try to hang out there, and I get jumped outside of bars and shit all the time.
You tried to, what, on the hilltop?
I used to try to hang out like the West Side, yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Want
to fit in.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah. So one night I go out there, and I forgot my wallet. I think Phil was with me. Phil Harrington was with me. And so I run back to my car to get my wallet, and I reach in to pull it out. I get hit in the back of the head with a gun, and that's all I remember. And so I had like, my skull was cracked. Like, and so like 2 weeks after that, I had the stroke. And we never put two and two together. But that's what it probably caused it. Yeah, brain bleed from that. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And you always wanted to go hang out there.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense.
That was like the third time that happened, dude. That was the first time.
He'd come in like once a week with a busted nose or a busted eye, black eye, something like where somebody just, he'd be like, yeah, I was walking, somebody just punched me in the face. I didn't even know who did it. How the fuck does this happen, Greg?
I don't know, man. It doesn't seem to happen anymore, so I'm not sure what's going on, man.
Maybe you're not hanging at the hilltop.
I'm not at the hilltop anymore.
So how'd the stroke thing come about?
All of a sudden, honestly, I was sick as hell all day. I was working with kids at this time, so I was sick as hell all day, and I ended up leaving work early because I thought I was going to throw up. And I got home and I asked my roommate, I go, hey, do you have any Ambien? He's prescription for Ambien, so he gave me some Ambien. And I went and fell asleep, and I woke up at about midnight, and like this whole half of my body was no longer there. It was like gone. It was like wouldn't work. I couldn't lift my arm. I couldn't see. I couldn't remember my name, really. Like I was so confused. And so I went back to bed. And the next morning I called my mom, and I'm like, yo, Mom, something's going on. And she's like, are you drunk? And I'm like, no, I'm not drunk. Something's wrong. And she's like, you had a stroke. I'm like, I didn't have a stroke. I'm 29 years old. And she's like, it sounds like you had a stroke. And so I'm like, I don't. I'm like, I'll deal with it after. So I was actually going to work. So I was getting ready to go to work. So I went and took a shower, and I came out from the shower, and the EMTs were all in my room. Those guys were all in my room. And they were like, okay, man, we'll come back when you're sober, blah, blah, blah. I thought I was drunk too. And I wrote on a piece of paper, I was like, please help. And so they did. They put me in the back of the ambulance, and they're like, holy shit. They're like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. And they took my blood pressure. The guy's like, you need to lay down right now, really slowly. For some reason, on that there's a brain bleed and my blood pressure went through the roof. And so, yeah.
What was your blood pressure? What,
I
like
don't remember.
40 or something over?
It was 3 something over. Yeah. It was insane. It was, they'd never seen numbers that high. It was crazy.
So how was the treatment? Was it?
I was in the hospital for a while, and it was fine. The problem was they wouldn't give me any meds because I had Ambien in my system. So they were like, "You're addicted to sleeping pills," and I'm like, "I assure you, I'm not." Like, you know, I don't think I've ever taken one before or since. And so, they wouldn't give me anything, so they had like, they kept having to stick tubes in my throat and shit. It was pretty miserable. But then I got out and moved to Florida, and I went to Florida. I rehabbed at a rehab center there, and that was pretty cool.
So were you on blood thinners to be able to?
Yes, I was. I am currently still. Yes. So I've stayed on blood thinners, and everything seems fine.
Yeah.
There's never been anything. Yeah.
Now, have you torn anything since using the blood thinners, like a tricep, a bicep?
My quad.
Yeah. Did it bleed like a motherfucker?
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yes, it did. Yes, absolutely did. Yes.
So the reason I asked, there was a while that I was on Xarelto for a while.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Just a little tweak, man, and be like, what the fuck?
Yes. Yeah. You're 100% right.
It's
Yes.
like the fucking whole arm's
Yes.
black.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
My foot was black.
yeah, it's
it was-
fucked up because
yeah.
it's like, man, I didn't hurt it that
Right.
bad.
It was that bad. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting fucking ultrasounds
Yes.
done, and like, it's still attached. I'm like, are you sure? Because I've seen some shit way worse, and it was a motherfucker.
Right. Yes.
So
Yes.
even little things,
Right.
like normal training things
Right.
now,
Yes.
or not anymore, 'cause I
Right.
don't have it anymore. But little things I used to have when I was say 30, and you know, you just fucking whatever. And
Right.
the next
Yeah.
day it's fucking like
Right.
black and blue.
Oh yeah, it's really, yeah.
Fuck
My whole
that.
foot was black. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
But that's been it. That's been the really injury I ever had was that.
Okay.
Wow.
When you came back, how long did it take you to restore function?
So it was a little bit under a year, and it was going slowly. It was getting better slowly, and then all of a sudden one day I woke up and it was just gone. I was fine, fine, perfect. No one can tell me why. No, still to this day, nobody can tell me how it happened that way. But I went to bed like normal, woke up the next morning, and it was fine. It was just like it went away. like a fever broke, you know.
Yeah.
So we went back to the rehab center. My mom, I couldn't drive at the time, so my mother took me to the rehab center, and they had this test where it was like sticking little wooden dowels into holes, and my first day there I did it, and it took me like 9 minutes, and the second time it took like 24 seconds, and so they were like, all right, and that was it. So I was there for a little while after. I was working at a gym. I was managing a gym, and I decided one day we were deadlifting, and everybody's like, show us how to deadlift, and I was like, I can't really do that anymore. I can't hold on the bar. And they're like, well, just use 3 plates. So I used 3 plates and showed them, and then I put 4 plates on, then 5, then 6, then 7, and I was like, oh shit, it's back. So I quit my job, went back to Maine, and that's when I started back up. So that was probably about a year and a half after the stroke.
Wow.
Now there's a little bit to process there.
Yeah. That's kind of how I live, you know?
But I mean, I can't blame you for that, because when I was coming back after a couple transplants, once I felt strong.
Yeah, you're ready.
Yeah.
I was
I
ready.
blew my shoulder
Yeah.
off. I came back squatting too strong with bands, and then my shoulder, just because it was too strong for my body. You know, my body was. I didn't have all the tendon strength and stuff yet, and it blew my shoulder off that way. So I understand what you mean. And completely, you know,
ready to be back.
If I back in the day, if I was feeling good, man, I'm ready.
Right.
No, I get what you mean. I mean, I get what you mean. But as a learning lesson, let's say, because you're not, we're going to tell you not to.
Right.
Let's say you were to come back and do it again. Like, what would you do that wouldn't be like that now? You know, so obviously from what you just said, you would take more time, you know, to build a base before just going gung-ho.
Yeah.
What would that look like?
It would be slowly pushing my accessory work, not doing like the squat, bench, and deadlift, not really focusing on it, or staying real light, not hopping into 50, 55, 60% with a green band or whatever, or, you know, 6 months, 5 months post-transplant or whatever, you know. I'd waited longer, you know.
Yeah. Now, what was the training that you were doing when you didn't have full use?
I could bench press sort of, so normal upper body day. I was normal training stuff, like normal like pseudo bodybuilding style stuff, you know, 10s and 12s. It worked well enough. You know, I could do hack squats, leg presses, stuff like that. So it was cool. The main thing was these 3 fingers just couldn't hold on to shit, and then it was there. So I went back and started up again. But what I didn't realize was that everybody had gone raw. And so then I had to learn the sport over again, and say after all this, then I have to relearn how to lift weights again. So yeah, it was a process.
Yeah. That's a good place to take a piss break real quick and come back and go with the raw.
Yes.
All right.
The raw.
Yeah, the raw. America Health is a premium telehealth platform specializing in hormone optimization and preventative medicine. Are you looking to optimize your health in and out of the gym, improve recovery, sex drive, and quality of life? Have you tried speaking to your health professional about this and have gotten the cold shoulder, stereotyped, or just told it's part of getting older? You just go to americahealth.com/table talk, and you can create your own lab, or you can take labs that we've had set up for them, which are based upon the same labs that I've been doing over the last 15 years. Or you can use their guided optimization. With this, they'll put you in touch with a patient care coordinator, which is actually pretty cool because you get to sit down and speak to somebody that can understand what you're looking for from hormone optimization and the preventative medicine standpoint. After that conversation, they'll determine which labs that you should and which tests you should have done, and then from there, get the labs done. They'll review those labs with you and put you in touch with one of their hormone optimization specialists that can determine which supplementation that you should use over the counter or prescription. americahealth.com/table talk. The discount code is table talk. Today's episode is brought to you by First Detachment. Are you looking for a supplement brand that truly understands hardworking athletes? Look no further than First Detachment. 1D's real world experience is what I would consider, and they consider, battle tested. I have known Justin Harris for pretty close to 2 decades. And if there's anybody that I trust with nutritional and supplement needs, it's Justin Harris. If you guys have followed me and have followed the podcast, you pretty much already know how I feel about the supplement industry. For me to get behind any brand, I have to trust the brand and I have to trust the person both. And I'm pretty sure you guys all know why. When it comes to creating formulas and putting products on the market, and there's nobody that I trust more than Justin Harris. While I love all of their products, I'd suggest that you check out the Field Rations and WTH first. Go to www.firstdetachment.com and use the code TABLETALK10 to save 10% off each order. The link is in the description. Today's episode is brought to you by Element, a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything that you need and nothing that you don't. In other words, no sugar, no artificial coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, and no BS. With Element, I love the watermelon. The watermelon tastes freaking awesome. I drank 1 pack every day, no matter what. People that train out here, it's sitting out here for them all the time. The boxes don't last very long. Right now, Element is offering Table Talk listeners a free sample pack with any purchase. That's 8 single serving packages free with any Element order. Get yours at drinkelement.com/table talk. The deal is only available through the link in the description. The other thing is, if you don't like it, you can just give it away to a salty friend and Element will give you a 100% refund. No risk, money back guarantee. Head over to drinkelement.com/table talk. I want to let you guys know that we just had a limited edition drop on the website last week of new items that sweatshirt, flannel, t-shirts, shorts. Basically, the limited edition items are the items that directly support the Table Talk podcast. So if you go to elitefts.com/limited edition, or actually just the link in the description, you can find the limited edition items that we have now, which there's the one that I like the best is the shit suck good great, which is all emojis. The designs I always like the best, right? They're the ones that don't sell for shit, but they're the ones that I want to wear that I like the best. And there's the cigar one as well. And they're all there on the screen for you guys to be able to see. So if you go to elitefts.com/limited edition, the other thing that directly helps support the podcast that I haven't talked that much about is the Table Talk crew. The Table Talk crew is extra edition episodes that go out once a month The content of those episodes are AMA related, question related, that come from the Table Talk Discord group, which is also part of being in the crew. When you're in the crew, there's dozens of ebooks that are in there. There's every seminar that we've ever done is put on there. There's courses that are put on there. There's series that have put on there. The original YouTube channel that we had for many years, that before we migrated to the newer one, all that old content is on there. There's discussion groups for just general training, fitness, life, nutrition, basically everything that you can think of is on. So just go look at what that is, or better than that, just go to the description, click on join the crew. That helps directly support the podcast, which is how we're able to keep this thing rolling.
Today's episode is brought to you by EliteFTS.com. Founded in 1998 with the primary aim to live, learn, and pass on. Please help Elite FTS support this mission by smashing the like button, leaving a comment, sharing with a friend, and thinking of us for your training needs. If you can put it in a gym bag or load weights on it, Elite FTS has it.
What's going on? I'm Dave Tate. We are broadcasting from the middle of the Elite FTS weight room, where the underground still thrives and you're part of the crew. It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk.
Yeah, they do.
All right, so we're back. So we're going to get into this raw thing. I did send AJ a text, by the way. So if he replies back, we're going to figure out if this is bullshit or
That's
not.
not.
Right?
I'm saying the 3 gram thing I was not part of.
Yeah, okay.
Just because you don't remember it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I've learned
That's
that a long
exactly
time
what that
ago.
means. That's exactly what that means.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll figure that out. That wasn't a reply. So, as you said, when you came back into the sport, it turned raw.
Yes, it went raw.
Yeah. So, first off, what you don't even know what's happening because you're at Westside, so you're in a bubble, right? So that was the funny thing about Westside. Now that you're a little bit out of the bubble, you kind of see that too. It's a fucking. It's not a. It's smaller than a bubble. I don't even know what you could.
Right.
What's smaller than a bubble? Like a.
I don't know.
I don't know. Like a fucking
bubble.
Yeah. I mean, it's tiny, man.
Yes.
The whole thing's going on outside of that. And you're like, oh, wait a minute, you know.
Yeah, I had no idea.
So when you realize that it was already raw before you realized that it was raw.
Yes.
How did you realize how much bigger raw was than what you thought it was?
Well, I started training for it, and so I started hitting up Sweet and Brandon Lilly, and both those guys helped me out a lot. So Brandon did my first programming for me, and I couldn't believe how much volume it was. It was misery comparatively to what we'd done at Westside, where I get very, very good at doing heavy singles. I'm still very good at heavy singles, but I fucking hate reps. So that was the biggest thing, was that. But how did I know it get so big? I didn't until Dan Green came around. When Dan Green came around, I said, "This is the next thing in powerlifting." Dan Green. I still believe is probably the greatest lifter. Him, I said Sean Frankel earlier, but there's a list of a few of them. But Dan Green, what he did for the sport was insane. He was the first guy I ever looked at and said, I can't beat him. I cannot beat him. So, but yeah, so that's when I realized, like, the whole Juggernaut came on, Juggernaut and Chelsea Smith. I signed him with those guys, it was a lot more connected, I guess, than it had been before to the fitness world, where especially at Westside, like, I had no idea about other fitness sports, bodybuilding and fitness stuff and figure stuff, and you know, they CrossFit now too. So
yeah. And when you're getting, what year was that?
Would have been 2013-ish, 2012. Yeah.
So when you're getting back there, it's, I don't want to say it was the pioneer time of Raw, but it was like the second coming, I guess.
Right,
of Raw.
right, yes.
And so that would have been Dan, that would have been Chad, it would have been Lily Bridges.
Yeah, Lily Bridges,
that we're all kind of going through there. And before that, there was a starting of it.
Yep.
But it's funny because if even back when in the 2012, the guys that were doing it or thinking about doing it were catching so much shit, you know, from the single-ply or multi-ply guys. Like, dude, let's come. What the fuck? I mean, you don't have no balls. You know, put this shit on its weight. You know, and all this kind of stuff. And it's gone so far the other way that number-wise, because you can go. This is what has always astounded me, because you can go to open powerlifting and just see exactly how many multi-ply and how many raw there are. Right. And years ago, I remember having a conversation with Louie at lunch, and just like, you can't do that. You know, it's like, dude, I'm telling you, there's like 1,200 total multi-ply guys and like fucking 30,000. Yeah, I mean, it was a vast difference, and he just refused to believe it. And I'm like, well, fuck, you know, I think it was a missed opportunity. You know, because of, you know, that was his genre, or whatever it was going to be, But the interesting thing that I saw, if you would take somebody in gear, then they went raw, is there was always a drop, right? And obviously there's going to be a drop in strength, but then there was always a rebound, right? Pretty quick, or in the first year, it's like they'll do a meet and they suck. Like you do a meet, you squat 600. Like then the end of the year, you're squatting 800. And then it's always tagged to whatever program it is. Like, no, dude, you could have squatted 800 from the jump. You just forgot.
Yes, your body had to figure out how to do what your brain had to figure out what's going on.
Well, I think what happens with the gear is you start to use the gear and how the gear feels as tactical cues. So when you step up the squat, you know, don't go down until it feels a certain way in your hips.
Exactly.
And then as you're going down, the gear's dictating where you should be. Now you take all that away, your body's like, fuck, where am I supposed to be? And then it
and then you figure that out and
reconnects. Then it goes in there. But this is the question I have with this is, I train people differently. There's no doubt about that. If I'm advising them differently, if it's gear or not gear, and that's just because of the load on the spine. But it is more volume. Obviously you found you had to train differently.
Yes. So Brandon started coaching me with the cube stuff, and you know, then from there, Sweden fits that. So we started doing a lot more volume, and I liked it. It was different. You know, people are always like, you're a Westside trader and this and that. No, I just want to learn as much as I could. You know what I mean? It seemed like a cool opportunity to learn something new. And so I did. And I kind of coached that way now. There's definitely some Westside stuff in there, though, for sure.
Well, I was going to say, once you bridge it together, you're pulling from all different sources. You know, so what things from conjugate do you keep with the people you work with, and what things do you not? So
it's more of a standard squat, bench, deadlift day. We use bands in our peak. For peak phase, we use bands. I think in our last block we do too. But you know, what I got on the Westside was not the training methods. I don't care about the training methods. I learned how to compete and be a competitor. I learned how to win, and so that's what I try to push is the mindset there. And you know, and competing in the gym. I feel like that's something that's totally lost now, is competing with your friends or your partners in the gym. You know, so I make my lifters compete with each other on all lifts. You know,
so you have to do that online.
Yes.
So how do you do that online?
I make them put their numbers up. So we have a short break day, which is sort of like a in place for a speed day, but it's you're a bunch of reps to do in a short amount of time. So I'll give them, say, 50 reps at 55%, and whoever finishes at the fastest wins. So it's always a sense of competition, which is what I learned from Westside. The most important thing I learned from Westside, you know, I wouldn't have been as good as I was without him. You know, he was everything. He's the reason I was as good as I was, 100%.
So the rest of the training and how it's laid out is what, more linear based?
Yep. Just standard, you know, sub-maximal volume. You know, 3 blocks, 3 5-week blocks.
All right. So if it's groups that you're working with, are they all? What if they're doing meets at different times?
Doesn't matter.
Well, it does if they're peaking for a meet.
Do they peak? Yeah, so we have a 5-week peak. Yeah, so so the hard part is that everyone has to start in the same place. So
okay, that's what I was getting to.
We tried to do it the other way. It was a disaster. So everyone started. So you do unfortunately have some people starting up in block 3, and it's one of those things we had to work through. I've seen no real problems from it. It seems to be fine.
Okay,
but yeah, it's one of the things I had to work through when we first started out. I tried to do it separately, and it was a mess to coach. You know, I have 1,000 people online, so it's like
no, that would be a fucking disaster.
Right.
Because
yes, exactly.
You know.
Yes. Yeah. So there's probably certain things that I'm doing that aren't great like that, but it's the only way it can be done.
Yeah.
So I've seen no problems. Everyone's getting better. So
how have you navigated it? Or have changed?
Well, I have less clients, so I still program for whoever's peaking for a meet and all that stuff. So I'm more individual, but as far as training goes, different for like raw, I'd say there's more reps included. Like we'll work up to like a 1 or 3 rep max, and then afterwards always doing reps with that same weight down to a percentage. More volume on the accessory work, like extra sets or even more reps, high reps, just depending on where they're at with their training, you know. But I don't really go off any other than like Westside conjugate ways mostly. Even for raw, you have to change a few things up, but I mean the concept's still there. It's still going to work for anybody. I mean, I saw Burley Hulk squat 9 something raw, you know. So I mean, it's there.
Oh, it'll work.
Yeah. No, it definitely will work. It's just where it has issues is on scale, right? So if it's a coach trying to work with 80 athletes in a gym at one time, or him trying to work with 1,000 people online, it becomes a little fucked up to be able to scale it, like especially even the max effort work to a certain degree with a beginner that you're able to know is, even as we were joking around earlier, if you're working up on a certain movement and something really fucking doesn't feel right, you're pivoting off, doing something else, or maybe saying fuck it and just doing it anyhow, but you're weighing the odds. Right? They don't know how to weigh the odds. You know, and actually it wouldn't even be beneficial because a lot of their techniques suck so bad that they're going to miss things before they even show their real strength. Like I've seen people miss like a max, like intermediates and beginners miss a max after lift like awfully, but then you fix a couple things and they beat it by 150 pounds on that day. And you're like, is this doing shit? You know, maybe some 5s would be a better idea.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So you had asked me earlier some of the Westside stuff, conjugate stuff. We use board presses, box squats. So we do box squats a little bit differently. We sit down, touch the box, come back up. Like that, and it works really well. Our squats are insane. I've coached, I don't know, 2,000-pound squatters. Had a guy squat 950 a few weeks ago in Texas.
So I assume that's a soft touch.
Yes, soft touch, right? Yeah, right. And if you can squat that way, if you can learn how to do it, then it'll absolutely help your stretch reflex. You know, you'll fire out of the hole. It's crazy what I've seen. And I started doing it with just my in-person group and started watching, and I'm like, this is absolutely working. So I started programming it, and it worked really well, beautifully.
What do you call that? Do you call it a box?
I write box squat, but there's always videos on how to do it. So you know how to do it.
So basically, a soft touch.
Yeah, a soft touch of the box, right? Yep.
You know, with that, some of these things, the longer you're around, the more definitions come for the same thing.
Right.
Like, you know, somebody will call a box squat, you know, a soft touch box. Yep. Some people will just smash on the fucking thing, right?
Yes.
And then there's other ones that will sit, roll, like that fucked up roll, like sit, roll. Somehow we were all doing that, which I don't fucking get, you know, but sit, roll way back, roll forward like a rocking box squat, right? But it all ends up being online just box squat.
Right, yes, all the same.
Yeah, when we're all looking at it, we kind of get it, but people are like, no, box squats don't work. And you're like, well,
what box squat are you talking about?
What fucking box? Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of ways to squat. You can one leg squat, you can close squat, wide squat.
Nothing's not going to work. Everything's going to work, you know?
Yeah. You know. So what other aspects?
The board press, like I said, we do. So the way I frame it, say bench press will be, in bench press, block 1 will be a 1 board, block 2 will be a 2 board, block 3 will be a 3 board. Obviously, reps are getting heavier, the reps are going down through the blocks and weights getting heavier.
Now, the argument against that would be that the raw, this is I'm just going to give you the argument because I got my own counter to it, that the raw lifter always misses off their chest, not at the top.
Right,
so
sure,
it's not going to help.
But how we practice technique on a whole bunch of different, on the first movement and the second movement, we practice setup and technique. That's going to help that better than anything else.
Yeah. That's my counter to that's kind of the same thing. Is I personally think most people lift because they don't start right.
Right, 100%.
Right, 100%. And if they don't have heavy weights in their hands to learn how to start right, it's easy to start right with 50%. Right. The other thing that I like to push back on, just because it exposes how much they don't know about gear, is why do you think people in gear miss their benches at the top? Because what I've seen is every fucking one of them miss at the bottom, but for a different reason.
Yes, 100%.
They can't touch. It falls away. It gets dumped.
Yeah.
Rarely do you see a fucking geared bench miss at the top.
Right. Yes. Right. It's
so it's like, okay, so they both miss at the bottom.
Right.
And so your argument fucking sucks.
Yes, it does.
And I would say the same thing with the squat too, but they're missing at the bottom because of depth. They're not missing because of they're falling forward or whatever it's going to be.
Which usually goes back to a bad setup, which is what we're trying to. We're using board presses for. We're not really using board presses for the board press aspect of it. We're using it for the setup aspect of it. I need something we can change from block to block. And I need something to make it easy and systematic and not, I wanted the simplest program I could put together. So that's basically what we do.
Have you coached any gear lifters in the past 5 years or
No, but I just wrote a multi-ply program. I'm hopefully going to put it out soon, next couple of days, I guess. So yes, hopefully we'll start.
Yeah.
Nice.
You have, right? Okay.
Yeah.
There's a weird paradox that you can run into because there's always drama in powerlifting. We could do shit. We'll probably talk about some of it. I mean, we can talk for fucking a day on that stupid shit where it's starting to happen now in Raw, which is kind of interesting. Where if it's federations, politics, whatever it is, I tell people just lift for your own numbers, then you can avoid all that bullshit. But, and it may happen in Raw as well. If you're in a meet and you're helping a lifter and obviously you're going to watch the first flight because you got to figure out where you need to call them, right? Yep. So you're watching the first flight to figure out where the depth and all that stuff is. And then you see in the meet fucking crazy shit's being passed, raw or multi-ply, it doesn't really matter, right? Then you're in a weird spot, right? Because now so now you got to go to the lifter and you got to say, okay, listen. What do you want, right? Do you, and 90%, this is where in almost actually I've had nobody tell me no if I have to ask this question. Like, do you want me to call this for you to get through the meet the same way everybody else is, or do you want me to call it to where I think it will pass everywhere, right? The answer is always, I want to win, right? It's never going to be the other, nor should it be, because why do they want to say, oh no, I want to be able to do this, but let everybody else do that? But it's a weird fucking thing. It's a weird conversation.
If you ask that question to anybody not at the meet, they'll tell you they're going to say, I want to do it the right way. Everyone, only at a meet, when you're ready, when you're there, everything's going to change.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I think people miss. Like if it's multi-ply, raw, whatever it is, they're seeing a lot of high shit, right? Then a lot of the times that's because everybody else is going to do it. So the lift, now there's some lifters that are going to just do it, right? But you can't control what the judges are going to do. But you can't blame the fucking lifter because they were probably asked the question the same way that I asked the question, and I know how I would have fucking answered it. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, I want to fucking squat 4 inches lower than everybody else just because
I want to win.
Fucking
you don't get extra points,
No,
I had third place, but I squatted lower than everybody else. Nobody cares.
Well, nobody cares about any of it anyhow, which is where which is the weird thing that comes down with that.
That's true.
And when with the multi-ply aspect, and it's not multi-ply, it's also unlimited, so it's different. There's so many divisions, it's ridiculous, right? So there's all these different divisions you're trying to keep track of with that. If you were to enter the sport today, right? So with the experience you had before coming into Westside, so let's say 6 years experience, where would you go? Not knowing anything that you know, would you go into the unlimited, the multi-ply, the single-ply, or the raw?
I'll be straight up. If I walked into powerlifting today, I would turn around and go the other way. This isn't the sport I fell in love with. I'm not saying it's bad. It's still amazing and everything, but it's not the subculture Westside Barbell I fell in love with. So I probably would do something else. Maybe CrossFit, maybe MMA.
It's not what it was.
No. So I don't think it'd stick around now. I'd probably bodybuild, you know, some kind of like pseudo bodybuilding stuff, you know, just get jacked.
I think I'd have trained to fight.
Yeah, maybe too. Yeah, maybe fighting. Yep.
Yeah.
So it was a culture thing that pulled you in.
Totally, 100% for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
The underground, you know.
Yep.
Don't have no videos. The mysterious Westside coming in, killing everybody. But they don't know how they train. You know, there's like 2 videos out a year or whatever. You know.
Yes, that's what did it for me too. Sam. Yep.
Yeah.
I wanted to be part of it.
So when you have lifters that are coming to you, where do you advise them to go?
Well, all my lifters lift until I dropped the multi-ply thing. I mean, everyone's raw. I don't care what you do. You go to any federation you want to. I don't give a shit. I don't care if you put knee wraps on, you know, whatever. You know, you do what you want to do and I'll coach you. Yeah. You know, that's your choice. But if I was going to come in the sport and be in the sport, I'd go raw, you know, probably with wraps.
Well, you're seeing, and you're probably going to see, or if not already seen, people that are going to start working with you, then they're going to want to do their first meet, right? And then with that first meet, they don't know what to do, right? So you kind of are judging where they're going to go and what they're going to do based upon their age, their experience, and all the other kind of stuff. Where are you pushing, not pushing them, but where are you suggesting they go?
I'd rather them start out raw.
Yeah.
Like with knee sleeves or just naked knees or whatever, and build a foundation. I mean, you know, before coming to Westside, I had a 15-year foundation I built, you know. My first pull of sumo in a meet was 8'10", but they didn't see the 10 years I put into that thing, you know what I mean? So you got to build the foundation first. So start out raw so you don't get hurt, because you see people that go to gear too fast and then they break their arm or they break their leg.
Yeah, it's weird watching gear lifting now. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you know, it's all, like we were all brutally, insanely raw strong. You know, insanely strong raw, like crazy. Like everybody in gear in those days had a very strong foundation. Even guys locally where I was from, where, you know, had incredibly huge jacked up guys. You don't see that anymore. You know.
No.
I feel like people do CrossFit for a few months and then they don't want to run, so they powerlift for a few months and they go right to a meet. And it's like with their CrossFit coach coaching at the meet, I see it all the time. I'm like, what's happening right now?
Like a hybrid CrossFit.
But the guy doesn't know what powerlifting. He has no idea. He's never been to a meet before.
Well, that's the piece I haven't been able to figure out, you know, because I came up, there was no raw, so it was single ply, you know, so I came up single. I didn't even know there was fucking multi-ply, so I came to Westside. I'm like, the fuck, you kidding me? Like, there's like fucking, I can wear 2 suits? Like,
suits.
Like, why in the fuck isn't I ad? There's no ad for it. You had to like call and like ask for like Betty that works for France, you know? And I had no idea. And so that base is being developed through that, and, you know, just crappy single ply shit or the bodybuilding stuff. And then it kind of goes into the multi-ply. Then while I was there, we never trained in gear. Ever. I mean, and I think that was detrimental. When I look back, you know, Chuck explained it to me one time. It made me madder than fuck for about a week. But it really did. It fucking made me mad. And because we just put it on the fucking meat, you know, and we never, from when I first got there, we didn't pull, right? So, you know, that we didn't pull. I used to pull every fucking week. And like fucking 6 months go by and I go to a meet and I got to pull. I'm like, fuck. I didn't know where to put my feet.
That's awesome.
I'm like looking at Louie, like, where the fuck do I put my feet?
That's awesome.
I completely fucking forgot. And I mean, it's so fucking mental. I'm like, oh, fuck it. I guess we'll find out.
3 tries.
Fuck. And it went okay, but it was like, awesome. What the fuck? You know, and even like bench shirts, I used to put it on more frequently. I'm like, no, you just put it on at the meet. I'm like, huh?
What's the same?
Like, how do I know what the fuck to open with?
Crazy.
And so I then at some point, you know, it became this. Now the carryovers became bigger, right? And that was where I think Westside fell behind the curve, right? Now people are getting beat just because of carryovers. Wait. In the gym stronger, you know, but then you go to the meet, like, what the fuck? How do you get 300-pound carryover, 200-pound carryover in the bench? I got fucking 30.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? Like, that pissed me off. Like, you can't believe.
Louie knew nothing about gear either. He knew absolutely nothing about it.
No, and then you had to figure the skill out, which I kind of like that from a sport standpoint, right? Because now you can beat the genetically better person. Like, good, you don't learn your gear. I'm going to fucking learn mine.
Figure shit out.
Right? And then I'm going to fucking beat your fucking ass because you don't know how to tuck when you're supposed to tuck. I fucking did. And it became this I think it seems like, and this is the part I'm going to figure out, it became a bigger element than the actual strength component.
Oh yeah, I think those, like when we were there, the strength component was still important. But towards the end of my multi-ply career, yeah, you saw a lot of it. Guys who was unbelievable in gear, you know.
Yeah.
Bench shirts especially. You hear with guys that benching 405 raw, benching 900 pounds of shirts.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Yeah. I think it went backwards too because gear's expensive. I went back to raw. Gear's expensive. You have to have a crew. Everybody likes to train alone now.
Right.
I don't know what that's about. But,
I don't get it.
And you know, so I see why they want to go raw because you know you need to have all that. You need to put all that money in the gear. It might not fit. You have to send it back a few times.
Pain in the ass.
Yeah.
No.
And then you got to find 2 or 3 people, like-minded people, that are going to push it.
Put you in it and take you out of it. Yeah.
I call it that the cost of entry.
Right.
You know, and having sold metal for so many years, it's like, okay, this is like just to sponsor a person, because I'm not making it.
Right.
You know, just to sponsor a person costs like $2,500 a year just in my cost to be able to get them gear.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you're like, this is my price. You know, if somebody had to buy it, and that's having a backup, right? So it's like, holy shit. It's like, that's more than hockey, right? I don't know what hockey fucking costs, but I heard it was expensive. Probably not as much as fucking multi-ply.
Right. No, I doubt it is.
Yeah.
You know, so you got $3,000 or $4,000 in gear just to compete.
They get bigger, you get smaller.
The other thing too is people might not be able to wrap their head around like the weights that people are moving nowadays. You know, people are like seeing a 1,200 pound squat, like that's like, oh man, I don't know if I could do that. 1,300 pound squat or whatever. You know, that could have something to do with it too. While like, the raw records are a little lower. If I ever get there, maybe, you know.
I don't know if the other part of it is I think it's you do what you're exposed to. Right. So, and I think this is something a lot of people forget, that if somebody comes into the sport through the USAPL IPF and they did that from a teenager until they're 20, they're probably going to stay USAPL IPF. If they came in at APF and multi-ply, they're probably going to stay there. They come in raw, they're probably going to stay there. And so now there's more avenues to come in that are the raw, because of the things that you're talking about, is you don't need all these other aspects to be able to do it. It's easier to find help. It's easier to find online coaches and all the other stuff, where I see the misunderstanding or gap is I don't think people understand how big the difference is between the multi-ply and Louie as an example, so I'll use that. Like, I don't think he understood that raw was like 30 or 40 times bigger.
No, he had no idea.
With each weight class.
No way.
You know, it's in some of the weight classes, if you look at, there's not a lot. I think it's when I had Dan Bell out, because people are like, well, what would he do if he was in gear and stuff like that, right? And a super heavyweight. So I'm like, okay, how many people competed in multi-ply? And it was like 58. So there's like 58 super heavyweights in multi-ply in 2022 compared to thousands. And the other, like, if you're a competitive person, do you want to beat 58 people? You know, but the caveat would be you're really, who's the best? Because that's who you want to beat. Which is the harder best to beat.
I think Lou saw it as, because he came up, raw and seeing all the gear coming up. So he saw it probably going backwards, going back to raw, because he only cared about numbers being higher. You know, and he didn't care what took it to get there higher, but I don't think he wanted to see it go backwards where people are squatting 600-700 pounds or whatever it is, as opposed to seeing somebody squatting 1,100 or whatever, No,
I can see that. That makes sense. With his warped way.
He explained it to me that way too. Like, before I left, the last time I saw him, we were talking. I told him, I was like, "Man, you should do some raw stuff, blah blah blah." And he was like, "What did he say?" He goes, "You know what? We tried that already. Everybody just got hurt." So.
See, I don't know if you can make a case for that, right? Because you came up through that first round, right? Are those guys all fucked up?
The guys I came up with?
Yeah, I was saying that 2012, those Dan Griel and those people that came up through there, are they any more hurt or beat up than somebody that would last a decade in gear?
I say the same, but they're definitely beat up. I mean, I say probably both,
Your career probably gets cut shorter.
That's what it is. So,
we're getting to a place where we can make fair comparisons.
Right.
Like, say, 5 years ago or whatever it was, it's like, oh, no, they're destined to be more fucked up.
Right.
I think we're all fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Not only we're all fucked up to begin with, but we're all, you do something for 20 years, you're going to pay a
fucked
price.
up, right? Yeah, of course.
Especially at a higher level. There's no doubt about that.
I remember listening to Louie on a podcast not too long ago, and he was talking about how all of his lifters need meds, like psych meds. You know, and he used to say that in the gym all the time. We used to think it's funny, and 4 psych meds later that I'm on now, I see his point.
Yeah, we're all insane. You
had to be.
You had to be, yeah. You know? Yeah.
Almost boring.
It is. I miss it. I miss that place.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know of training now, and if you were to go back and had some control, actually, because control as in being able to, fuck you, you're still dealing with the mental aspect where you're going to be a dumb fuck, right? Where you would listen, you would program better.
Yes.
How would you have changed that?
So probably what I would do at Westside is something that me and Matt Wenning started doing. It worked really well before we got thrown out. But I would go raw week 1. I would put on a little bit of gear week 2 and full gear on week 3. Or something like that, you know. So I would try to be in gear more, I think, is the main takeaway, yeah.
So raw briefs and then
raw briefs and suit, yep.
And then cycle that.
Yep.
Oh my God! So actually, like a full wave.
Like,
still maxing out on everything. Though.
Still maxing out, yes.
But that would control how much weight would be used.
Right, exactly.
Right?
I think that's probably how I would do it now. It makes more sense.
Yeah.
Once Greg left, we got back into waves. We did a lot more waves.
Okay.
So
he's the one that fucked it all up.
Yeah. He was training optimal. I was training maximal, and I got fucked up sooner than him. So.
No, I get that. I think there's any crew
whatever
that
to
goes
keep
around.
up with him, you know, anything.
Well, I think any crew that comes around has to be very wary of that, right? Because whoever's in the strongest in the crew will be actually what you just said, be training optimal.
Yeah.
But it's not for you.
Yeah.
No.
It would destroy you.
Yeah. But I mean, it made us strong, though. I mean,
it did. It worked.
We were strong.
We had a hell of a crew.
Yeah, we had a great crew.
Yeah.
Great crew.
What were some of the stories that you had that you noted down there?
Oh, okay. So first, I'll go off the IG post of the picture that was up of us. There's a little backstory of that. So where I'm spotting Greg, my face looks like it's super bloated, like Greg's is, because he's squatting.
Well, it is.
Huh?
It is.
Let me get to it.
Okay.
Hold on
All
a
right.
second, old man. Let me get to it. So at this time, I had been puking in my mouth all the time.
Oh,
and so I had a full mouthful of, good thing I'm a professional at that, because Greg could have hit that right back. So I have a full mouth of puke right here. So then after he does the set, I swallowed it, but like a true champion.
In that picture, your mouth is full of vomit.
Full of puke, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. So
None
that's
of us knew
backstory.
this. I had no idea this was happening. I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, he didn't even know I got hit by a car.
I had no idea. No.
So I have a good story, a couple stories with Lou.
He had no idea you got hit by a car.
Yeah. So I was in a car wreck, totaled my car 10 days before, and then 10 days later, I was staying on the highway putting gas in a car, and the roads were frozen over. This was like 2008, and it was a sheet of ice, when we used to have like real bad winters. And a car was going 50 miles an hour and slamming on the brakes fishtail. Well, it swung out of control and smacked me, and I was pinned in between my car and my ex's car. And I remember when I got pulled out, I thought my leg was gone. I ended up getting a slight tear out of that. Slight knee tear, tore my oblique, and then I busted my neck. Probably had some sort of whiplash or something, I don't know, but I could never lock out my right arm fully much after that. Even now, it'll shut down. It shuts down worse than what it did before, but yeah. But I ended up squatting a week after that, after I was pinned in between those two cars, because it was Arnold Classic, everybody's in town, And,
well, how would he know if you don't tell him this?
That's valid.
Yeah, I know. but I mean, to be fair, we were squatting that next week, and my legs were black up and down.
Yeah.
He probably just don't remember. Imagine that. And Paul Childress is like, dude, why are your legs black and blue? I was like, it looks like I got hit by a bat, huh? He's like, or got hit by a car.
Yeah.
But, that was just... I mean, I was dragging sled the next day after that, after I got hit by a car, just because I knew that was what's going to help it. Like, I don't know. I could have probably, waited and like maybe got a better settlement out of it, like did rehab and stuff like that. But man, I was at the place I wanted to be, I didn't want them to think I was a pussy.
Was that in Ohio?
Yeah. That was right when I got moved to Westside, like 7 weeks, right after we did that meet. But I never told the guys that when I got there, I was already in stage 2 kidney failure, I didn't want them to see weakness. You know, when I was working as a corrections officer, I had dialysis support in my neck, and I would tape it down so the inmates couldn't see it, just because I didn't want them to see softness or weakness. You know, and I guess that's how I am. I don't know, maybe it's my head, but I don't know. I guess the way I've come up and everything, it's all about survival. You know, and whatever it takes to survive. You know, like I was always sketchy about having my arm shown because it's. You know, but you know, because it looks like a weakness, but actually it's a strength because it kept me alive, you know, for all these years that I've been on dialysis. So, yeah. So, yeah.
All right. So that's the bloat story. What else you got?
Oh, okay. So there's some Lou stories here. So Lou used to drain his knee quite often before he'd squat, after he'd squat, and then it would be pretty much all throughout the day. But the thing is, he'd use the same dirty ass needle. It'd be bent, and he would use that needle to drain his knee all the time. No alcohol pads, you know, Lou.
No, I've heard this because visitors that would come in from out of town would like come tell me, and they'd be like, you know that he's draining his knee before he trains.
Yeah.
And that didn't surprise me, but the fact that he's using the same fucking needle, that really doesn't surprise me.
That's what that can't surprise you either. That's Louie, man.
No.
I wonder how dull that thing was, though. That had to be
I don't think he could feel pain.
No, I don't think he feel pain. Yeah.
It's probably all the cough syrup. He always said it cuts off your nerve endings or something, pain or whatever.
There was some
he was on that shit, man.
There was some shit.
Wonder why you fall asleep in the car driving and whatnot.
Yeah.
Another Louie story is we were sponsored by Enzer at one time, you know, and AJ had been talking to John Enzer, and Louie was supposed to do all that or whatever. And AJ's like, "Hey Lou, you know, I talked to John, you know, going to get some of my gear, get it fast or whatever." And Louie gets instantly pissed. He throws this half Gatorade. I mean, it's half full, and it goes everywhere, like 20 feet in the air. He throws it, boom. And so that was on Wednesday. The next Friday, we come in and we had this banner that was supposed to be put up behind because we were going to make videos for Enzer. It's in the trash. He's got Enzer briefs on and duct tape over it because he don't want anybody to see that he had.
Why is so bad?
Who's that, AJ or Louie?
No, Louie. This is all Louie doing that. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he talked to AJ. That's it.
Oh, because he talked to AJ.
Because AJ talked to John Enzer. Yeah, that's why Louie got so pissed over that.
You never know what Louie was mad about this.
I mean, it makes no sense, but it's understandable.
It's Louie. He wanted to do all the ordering or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. You know,
which he didn't. Maybe doors. I mean, there was when I was there was a time I was trying to manage all that, and so I'd have to. It wasn't John, it was somebody else I had to talk to. And after like a month, I'm like, fuck this. Fuck this, right? Because now they never sent the right thing anyhow, right? Yeah. Like Kenny needs the sleeves taken in an inch and they come back 3 inches bigger. I'm like, I can't fucking do this. And at one point there, in my spare bedroom, there's probably 30 bench shirts. I mean, it was a fucking pile. And whoever I was speaking to, I'm like, I can send these back. No, just give them away to people. Like, you don't understand. The sleeve is the size of a fucking basketball, you know. And then I don't know where it went from there, but it was a fucking disaster to deal with.
Yeah, I could never get anything on time.
Yeah, well, I remember before I moved to Westside, I sent these the squat suit back like 4 different times to get it altered, and it never was the right size. So Phil Harrington's like, "Hey, I'll get it altered for you," you know, blah blah blah. So like 6 weeks go by, I'm like, "Hey Phil, you got my suit?" "Oh yeah. It just ain't sent back yet." That motherfucker sold it at Lexington.
No shit.
Yes, he did.
Holy
yes, he
shit.
did. I swear, when I pulled that 810, I had a deadlift suit. It was a squat, old Viking squat suit that I pulled in. And after I pulled, I put all my stuff in my bag, and I walk away, and I come back. I'm almost 100% sure he stole that out of my bag.
I wouldn't doubt it.
And sold it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the takeaway message with the gear, if it ever comes back to that level, is you order stock sizes and have somebody else size it for you. You know, then you don't have to deal with all the bullshit trying to like cut, because customizing sounds cool.
It's just not.
It's like, it's going to be so awesome. It's going to be perfectly fit. It's so
it's
wrong.
Not gonna work,
everybody's built that. I used to joke that John would just pick one off of this little shelf. It's probably 3 sizes too tight or whatever. He don't care.
Unbelievable.
So another story I have was, and Greg knows this one, and I don't know who's crazier on this, us or Louie. Probably, you know, Louie, of course, but the fact that we allowed it, I think makes us. So anyways, he used to snort horse liniment. He would go up, and anybody that's took him blue horse liniment knows how much powerful it is. And before you squat, he'd snort it up. And and he's 63, 64, 65, I don't know. And like at the time, our mindset was, yeah, do whatever the fuck you got to do. You know, you got to train. You don't got to train. But now looking back on it, like we let that dude snort horse liniment. We do a lot
of weird shit too.
Like why? I mean, why? Because he was doing that when I was there.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't even, until you brought it up, because we talked about this earlier, until you brought it up, it didn't even dawn on me that there's like a fucked up thing. You know? To me, it was like, what's it doing? Like, like
he was feeling something.
Well, I know, but he would get fucking mad if we would use ammonia. Like, so keep the ammonia the fuck out of the gym. If you got real balls, you don't need that, but snort horse liniment?
Right.
Like,
there'd be a puddle of blood everywhere. He wouldn't understand why his nose is so big. He'd have to get it cauterized all the time.
This fucking horse liniment.
Stubbed up his nose all the time.
He was snorting lines of chalk, too. He just snorted chalk.
I never saw that part.
I saw him do it quite a few times.
Believe it.
You ever see him whack himself with a wire brush?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was another one. Just wham, wham, his fucking chest would be bleeding. You're like, okay.
I think once he got the battle axes, he wasn't doing that as much.
Yeah, fuck up the tattoo.
He's like, I already got him.
Yes.
Another one. So we were at a meet one time, and you know, people would always give Louie shirts. Like competitors would give shirts of like the gym or whatever, and Lou never kept them. He gave them to me a lot of times. And I remember I was walking past, and the guy that gave me that shirt, I didn't know it. My buddy had to tell me this, but he goes, "Hey, Luke, nice shirt." And he like looks down, and I'm like, "Thanks, man. You know whatever." And my buddy came up. He's like, "You know, he gave that shirt to Lou." I was like, "Oh,
that's uncomfortable."
Yeah. Another one would be Lou would always complain about not being able to sleep at night, and like it would be like 9, 10 o'clock, and he'd be drinking 5-hour energy, and we'd be like, Lou, we wonder why you can't sleep, man. You know, like maybe you should drink 5-hour energy through the day, and not at 9 o'clock at night.
No, that makes sense. There was, God, what did he tell me one time? It was he couldn't understand why people couldn't get psyched up or couldn't get their mind right for speed squats, because all they had to do if they didn't feel right was take oh God, what was it? Like antihistamines or like fucking Sudafed.
Oh God.
Like all they need to do is like take 10 Sudafed or whatever it's going to be, and they'll be fine. I don't understand, you know.
I don't think of this.
Yeah, it's like, you know, and it's Ephedrine or whatever it was. He just could not get it. He's like, you know, we'll come in here, we'll take cough syrup, you know, and all that. He's just listing all this shit off. And these people are just dragging ass for all. Maybe all they fucking need to do is like take Sudafed.
That's it.
Just some stupid shit like that. I'm like, dude, you know.
People don't think like that.
Yeah.
He had me on this antihistamine. What was it called?
Periactin.
So he told me to take it 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner again. So I take it in the morning. I would go to work, and I remember one time I was driving. I worked with the kids with like disabilities, so I was driving around with a kid with cerebral palsy. So his wheelchair's in the back. We're driving, and I'm getting off the on ramp, and I started falling asleep, just fading out. And then I'm like, I'm trying to talk to him, I'm fading out, and then all of a sudden, right in the back of the car, 60 miles an hour, right in the back of the car. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. Then later on that week, I had a meeting with a family. I worked with families in crisis, like with disabilities, things like that. So we were putting a plan together. And I wake up like 9 hours later on the couch. They got like a little tray there with food for me. The kids are watching movies next to me. I got a blanket and a pillow on. I'm sleeping for 9 hours. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore, Louie. And he's like, why can't you do it anymore? I'm like, because I'm falling asleep at work. He's like, so? I'm like...
Yeah, life didn't exist other than that gym. That gym.
Yes.
Brandon Lilly took that one time when he stayed at my house for like a weekend. He was coming up, and I remember, man, he was probably in there 19 hours in the bedroom where he was sleeping. I checked on him like after like 10 or 11 hours. I'm like, bro, you alive? You know, I had to check it, make sure he's breathing. Like I thought he was dead. You know, like
what's this shit supposed to do?
He said
put on weight.
Yeah, he's like, it's stronger than D-ball. It's better than D-ball.
Well, I suppose if you're fucking not moving,
right? If that's doing it right,
it did work though. I mean, guys got big on it. Guys though that seem to take it though, when they tried to lean up, I never seen them have like abs. So it was really weird. Like I've never seen you really have like a full 6-pack. You know, it's almost like it prevented that. Like I never seen Jake have one or Brandon. You know, like they get lean, but not, you know, and I don't know if that had something to do with it or not. But I never messed with it.
I never heard of it.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Misery.
Well, he had me on he got me drinking a little bit of cough syrup before training for a little while, you know, because he's like, it dulls your nerve endings and you put on some weight. So whatever.
He's drinking cough syrup.
Yeah. No, I tried. I got into that once. I tried that once. I'm like, this sucks, man. I'm trying to because I'm dozing on the way to the gym.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to counter it with McDonald's coffee. I'm slamming fucking 10 coffees because this shit is not gonna work.
That's amazing.
Yeah, drink a NyQuil through the day. You don't.
That's not a good idea.
Yeah, not a good idea. I got one more story. So we had a guy named Preacher. I don't even know what his real name was. I think he was like an ordained minister or whatever he was. I don't know. No, this was later on when he let some guys in that were a little bit softer, you know. Mm-hmm. So anyways, this guy would foam roll on his back by standing up against the wall, up and down, he'd do it every workout. And Louie, if he don't like something, he gonna let you know. So finally, he got to a point. This is about the third fucking because he's like, you need to just warm up, blah blah. You need to just get in the gym, blah blah, or just in the whatever first set or whatever. And finally, he threw all the foam rollers away and kicked him out.
I'm surprised there were foam rollers there.
Yeah.
Because Wendler brought one in one time, and that was like fucking bomb just went off.
Yeah.
Get that motherfucking, awesome. you know how it's like. It was such an overreaction for such a little stupid thing.
Louie,
well, like the Gatorade story I was telling you about with Enzer. It's just a little thing, but that was, he meant that shit.
Yeah.
He was pissed.
Did he ever go through, he would go through these weird obviously he did, but I'm wondering if you can remember any of them. These weird fucking phases where there's one time where there's the whole phase where the fucking 100-pound plates were on the bar when we went into the gym. Like the fucking squatter beds. Like if you can't start with the fucking 100-pound plate on each side, and I'm like, no. I was mad because I'm fucking beat up at this time. Wait a fucking minute. When I came here, I never used just the bar ever. Right. You just throw a plate on. Most gyms I trained in before Westside, you left the fucking plate on the bar. Yeah. That's where you'd start. Yeah. And now all of a sudden it's fucking 245.
Yeah, he did that with reverse hypers. He got it in his head that they always started at 400 plus pounds on reverse hypers, and that might be true. I don't know. Yeah. But we weren't starting heavy enough. We were working up. So we go in one Monday. You were here for this, and he had 200s welded on each side. So you're starting at over 400, and it's still there. You're starting at 400 on that one first hyper, or you ain't doing it.
That's a chain one.
Yeah.
No, I remember that shit. He would get on people's ass if it was not four plates per side or whatever it was.
Yeah. Remember when he said that if you can't self unrack, it's not a bench press. That was insane.
Oh, he was big on
that. Yeah. If you can't self-hand out, it's not a bench press. And I'm like, I bench press 800 pounds. And so I had him put a bench shirt on. I think it was the first time I had one on, locally from what I saw. So I had to put 405 on, and I had him try to self-unrack it. Get nowhere close, obviously.
I got caught up in a fucking speed bench session like that where it was myself, Kenny, all these other people, and it was after a pec tear, whatever. I could not get the fucking thing out because it was a fucking little bolt and stuff. I could press it fucking fine. Yeah. But after you get over 2 plates, I couldn't, there's nothing there. I couldn't get it the fuck out. Yeah. So I asked, somebody fucking lift this out. And Louie just goes, fuck yeah. He just goes into this shit. Yeah. None of the fuckers would do it. And I'm madder and fuck because now I can't do my set and I'm being called a pussy and Kenny's throwing fucking tissues at me, and all this other kind of shit. So I take the bench and shove it. Way back. So I'm starting with it right here. And boom, I'm doing the fucking hitting the fucking thing. I'm hitting the J cup on every fucking one. I'm like, God damn, you can't fucking just give a little bit of a lift out. But I didn't know he was doing this shit with bench shirts and bigger weight.
He was on Matt Smith about that hard because he was like, he's got weak lats. He needs to take all his weight out. Don't hand out. Matt would take a hand out at 135.
I remember, he's a nightmare. Remember those wide grip benches he would do with hands on the plates?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, God. And you had to hand it out to him, and he would lock it out 3 inches below the thing, so you lift up 550 off and put it. It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, Louie was wild.
Yeah, he was.
Any things that you remember like that?
Man, let me think. It's just so much weird shit.
It is. It's tough. Like I was saying earlier, it's hard to come up with stories.
Yeah, this is every day.
Every day was a story.
Did that really happen?
Right.
That was just a typical day.
It was magical. I have no other word for it. It was the best time of my life. You know what I mean? It was something. I'm glad I get done in my 20s. I'm glad I'm not doing it anymore. But honestly, Louie was, one person you have in your life, I think, that, you know, shows you what you need to do. And like, you know, Louie taught me everything I know about lifting weights, you know, and the way I approach powerlifting now as a coach and businessman, you know, I learned from him. So I mean, most of it, you know, he was absolutely insane. He was absolutely a crazy person, but man, he was the best guy I ever knew, honestly.
The craziest thing about all of it is, if you look at the intensity of the training, the effort of the training, is, I think, not most, but a bigger percentage of people can go through that in their 20s.
Yes.
You know, 20s to, you know, mid 30s and stuff like that, and survive.
Right.
Louie was doing it in his fucking
That's
50s
insane.
and 60s.
I can't imagine.
Think about that, man. At the same fucking level.
Right.
Like, fuck. You know, if I pull something now, that's like a month of bullshit.
Right.
You know, and he just stayed right with it.
I hit 40. I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, and he would, you know, that wasn't, to him, it was just a number. And it's like, now that I'm older, it's like fucking more than a number. I'm still fucking stupid, do a lot of stupid shit.
Yeah, no doubt.
But there's no way I would be able to do that.
No, I'm
you know,
not
what
that
he
good
was
again.
doing.
Yeah.
He squatted 920 at 52.
Yeah.
And almost 800 at 64.
Yeah, I can't. I mean,
I can't imagine. Oh.
yeah, I mean, I was training with him for that 920, and looking back, he was doing everything I was doing. It was fucking hard. I mean, it's the stuff like you're talking about.
Yeah.
And he was like fucking my age now.
Yes, it's crazy.
And now I understand it way differently.
Right. Yeah. It's way
like
different
back then,
now,
I'm like, fuck you, old man, you piece of shit. You know, all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah. You don't understand what's actually going to happen when you age. Like,
Fuck
it's
no.
just crazy.
I respect him more as I've gotten older than I did.
Oh, absolutely.
Like hearing that story about how he broke his back in 1974. I heard it so many times, but then when I blew my back out, I was like, yeah, I get it.
No, it's a different perspective. That's for fucking sure.
Yeah.
But some of the funny things to me is like the max effort shit, because when I was doing seminars, the very first ones when I'm going out trying to explain this shit before the internet was even the internet, and like, well, what do you do for me? And they think it's all fucking
like
laid out. I'm like, dude, like, we're sitting there eating fucking McDonald's, and we're just fucking bullshitting. We know at 8:30 we need to start. We don't know what the fuck it's gonna be, you know. So like, what do you want to do? And then I don't know. What do you want to do? And then fucking somebody walks in. What do you want to do? Somehow, someone
comes with an answer someone like it. Relax.
Yeah.
Towards the end, they started meeting up for breakfast. It was too early for me because I'd worked second shift, but they would kind of come up with a plan.
Yeah, we did
a main lift at breakfast.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we'd get in the gym, and within 10 minutes we would be like, oh, well, we need to do this, whatever.
Right.
You know.
But I wonder how often they came up with that plan that it changed by the time they got in the gym.
Well, you know Louie, and everything changes in like 5 minutes.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So.
Like I can pretty much guarantee whatever they come with got thrown.
Right.
I'd have guys come up to me and be like, hey, Luke told me to do this, and now he's yelling at me and wants me to do this. I'm like, it's Lou, man. You just roll with the punches, bro.
Yeah, so I was the only time I would have the breakfast thing would be on like Sunday.
Yeah.
Because I was coming from work, you know, straight in there, then going back to where I didn't have the time, you know, for all that. And back then we were paying. I couldn't afford it anyhow. He wasn't paying for it back then at the time. So I was like, fuck this, man. I can fucking eat free bagels. You know, where I work's got fucking free bagels.
Yeah, right.
And all I need, that's fucking cool for me. But it's funny that when you break it all down, it's like there's max effort work, there's glute ham raises, reverse hypers, and abs, right? And I used to joke about this shit. Like, how did you squat? I'm like, fucking for 10 years, man, on Friday, I fucking did squatting on a box, glute ham raises, reverse hypers, and abs. And then on Monday, I did some heavy fucking thing, reverse hypers, glute ham raises, and abs. And now you guys are telling me, that's fucking saying, like, that's fucking Westside, right? For fucking 40 years.
But glute ham raises and reverse hypers is where you're gonna get strong. You get super strong.
It works. You know?
It works. That's what
and
it
you
works.
find ways, like well, I did. I mean, I'll ask you guys. I found ways to do it differently, so it wasn't always the same. You jack it up, put it on this time. I mean, so it wasn't exactly the same.
We had a lot of different hypers too, though. We had like 10 different kind of hypers there and stuff, so you can always find different ways to do it.
Yeah,
that was nice that we had a variety of hypers to do.
So here's a question I have for you guys. Since leaving Westside, have you done a reverse hyper?
Yes. Yes.
I live off them now.
Do you really?
Well, ever since I blew my back out, man, it's like, you know, like I have something to prove where I want to be able to pull something without a belt, raw, just because I tried to prove it to myself because I blew my back out and, you know, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I live on it now. I probably do them a couple times a day, depending on which day it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do on the back of a. So I train in a CrossFit, which is very minimal equipment, but we have glute ham raises. So I do them on the back of a glute ham raise with a band around the front of it, around my feet.
Yeah.
It works pretty well.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same thing, but it works pretty well.
I used to do them on an incline bench.
Yep.
And then on a stability ball, almost like a scorpion type thing. Yeah.
I was fortunate that outside of like a back strain, you pop your back and you got to crawl for a day, but you still squat on Friday. Outside of those, I never had back injuries or issues like that. And it's like as soon as I left, because I did so many of them fucking things, it's like every day, fucking 4 days a week, man. And then there's one in my garage because Louie said you got to do it twice a day on the days off. It's like as soon as I left, I'm like, fuck this thing. I am never fucking doing another one again the rest of my life, no matter fucking what. Now, if my back was an issue, I would think, I would definitely think differently, because one of the things because there's a lot of haters, there's a lot of haters of the box squat and a lot of haters of the reverse hyper, so I love to, it's not so bad anymore because I don't pay any attention, but when I used to give a fucking pay attention, I'd be like, okay, so what you're telling me is the box squat is just trash in my back, so it must be the reverse hypers that are helping. Right? I'm like, no. The reverse hypers don't do shit. Oh, so the reverse hypers don't help, which means the box squat's probably not fucking my back up. Right? And that's so I'd flip it around on them.
Louie had 60, 800-pound pullers and 60 or so 1,000-pound squatters. I think the reverse hyper works.
I say that's pretty good.
There's the one constant. I mean, actually, what we're talking about, the glute ham raise of reverse hypers, that was constant with everybody. I wasn't there for the athletes. Well, not powerlifters or athletes, kind of. I mean, but not for the fighters and all the other kind of stuff. So I don't know anything about that kind of shit. But I'm going to assume they were doing fucking reverse.
Lots of reverse hypers. They were
reverse.
The same type of thing.
Yep.
What was that dynamic like, having them in there with the powerlifters? Because
a lot of them I never knew or even spoke to. There was a few I became friends with for sure. Usually we were separated to a point, so it wasn't like a big thing.
Yeah.
I did have one altercation, not physical altercation, but a yelling match back and forth with a guy who was squatting. His time was moving into my squat time, and so I was like, "You got to go," and he didn't want to go, and he was like 7'2", and we were screaming at each other. Louie got in his face, was like, "You got to go. If he tells you to go, you go." He did. So
I remember a time we had a semi-pro quarterback or football player in the gym, and he was making fun of a tricep exercise you were doing. I think it was like overhead, and he told the guy, "Well, I'm an all-time world record holder, so when you get that, you can come tell me what's up and what no." Greg used to put like kettlebells in people's bags and shit like that.
That's right.
And I think one of the interns was pretty pissed about it. So when the intern left his last day, he put all these penis balloons in Greg's car.
That's right.
Filled his car full of it.
So you would just stick a light kettlebell in their bag?
A heavy kettlebell.
Heavy,
the bottom of it.
Oh, so they couldn't pick the shit up.
Well, Tommy at Westside did that to me with a fire extinguisher, and he was laughing one day. He's like, "Hey man, I stuck something in your bag." I was like, "You didn't stick nothing in my bag." And so he goes in there and finds it. I didn't even notice. I always have a heavy bag.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that.
It was stupid shit.
Yeah. It was fun. Above everything else, it was so much fun. It was, it was a great time. Everybody always asks me, wants it to be like this incredibly serious, journey, and it wasn't. We had a blast. What I mean? It was, you had 10 guys in their 20s and 30s, and they're fooling around. That was the best part about it, was the culture, the community. I love that part of it.
Yeah. At meets, it felt like we were rock stars.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when you have a great meet and you're just on cloud nine.
It's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. And then you have that week off.
Yeah.
So you're thankful for that.
I'm going out drinking.
Yeah.
Well, the consistency, the dedication, the effort, all that's kind of wrapped in there as a given.
Yes, right.
So as that's a gift, so other people can look at it and they,
Right.
Yeah.
If you're there, you that's not even a thought, right? Because if anybody doesn't fit that, then they're not going to stay there very fucking long.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, it's Christmas on a Friday. You might be celebrating Christmas. We're training. We're squatting.
And so the perception of those people looking out is, they're serious and all they're in this. No, it's a decision to do what you love to do.
Yes, exactly.
And you're having a fucking blast doing it. And you're okay with all those other things where, if you're trying to do it. Now you're probably not okay with all those other things because you're older and there's other responsibilities.
Right.
Yeah.
Where, had you been in there at the time, you would have got made fun of. Yeah. Like, fuck off, get out of here.
Right, exactly.
You shouldn't be married, don't have kids, and all the other rules that Louie had.
Yeah.
Sure. Which I can remember a bunch of shit like that. It's like, hey, I'm getting married. Like, what the fuck are you doing that for? It's gonna and it wasn't like worried about my life. It's like, it's gonna fuck your training all up. You're having kids. Like, what the fuck?
So I was partying a lot. When I started breaking world records, I started partying a lot, going a lot. And so one morning I get there, and Louie goes, "Hey, can we go for a ride?" I'm like, "Sure." And so we get in his car, we're driving. He's like, "Hey, I heard you're out at the clubs a lot and partying a lot." I'm like, "Yeah, a couple times a week. It's no big deal." And he's like, "I'm kind of worried, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Hey, I appreciate you worried about me, man. That's really nice, but I'm okay." And he goes, "I'm not worried about you. I don't care about fuck about you." He's like, "You're a world champion. That's all I care about."
The numbers. That's all I care about.
I don't care about you. Yeah.
That's all I care.
He cared about your fucking numbers. That's totally
that was numbers.
I remember you telling me a story about how Danny Blankenship was his main training partner for 5 years or something. And right after he left, 6 weeks after he left, he called Louie's house, and his wife Doris answered and goes, "Hey Lou, Danny's on the phone." Danny who? He's like, "Danny Blankenship." Danny Blankenship. Who's that? Totally forgot. You leave them doors. He's
Oh, I can see that. I had to have so many conversations with people that left. Right, because it wasn't what they thought.
Right.
Like, when you're in there, the way I end up explaining it later was, it's like you're going to go play for Bill Parcells, and you're a key player. That's who you are at that time. When you leave, he don't give a fuck.
No,
you think he's going to, but he's not, because he's got to worry about the new guys that are in there. Same way every other coach would.
Exactly. But for some reason, we think it's different with him, and it shouldn't be. I mean, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Sports.
Yeah. I mean, being a coach, you should find all never be satisfied. Like, he only said good job maybe once, twice. I don't know. Or good workout once or twice. But all that. He was always trying to find ways to get you stronger.
Yep.
He didn't care. He wanted to take it to the next level, whatever it was. It wasn't like, "Oh, you had a great day today, and,
never.
and let's go sit and talk about it, and we'll drink coffee and we'll write down your next program." Yada, yada, yada.
That's what people think.
It wasn't like that at all.
No.
So when it comes to your own athletes, are you praising them more or less?
Less. It depends.
Less than what Louie did.
I do it like Louie did it, man. It worked. It worked really well for me. So, if you do something magical, cool. If not, I don't want to hear about your fucking goals. I want to hear about. So the big thing with me is goals. Is people telling me their goals, and I don't want to hear your goals because I don't care. Because what we're talking about is a 10-year period of time that's going to happen, and there's so much fucking shit that's going to happen in those 10 years that are going to destroy everything for you. And it could be good things and bad things. It could be a new job. It could be could be getting married. But something's going to happen along those 10 years. So what we're going to focus on is right now, and your numbers right now, and your numbers in the next meet, and that's all I care about. So that's how I do it typically.
I'm probably a little nicer, but I do it in a way just nice. I'm not a prick about it. Maybe I might come off as it, but I do say good job more or solid work or whatever when they're putting work in. Because it's kind of nice to hear that once in a while. But I don't have 1,000 clients either.
I do it so. I'm always far more positive and kind during contest time because, again, I keep trying to push this idea that you're an athlete, you need to compete. So I'm going to be clapping for you during competition time. I don't care about your training. I care about you competing, to a point, of course. But yeah, so I do tell my clients when they're doing well for sure. But I try to keep it more towards contest time.
Yeah. You can't praise them every training workout.
No.
But there's just, I don't know, I don't want to go away being a prick. I try to I find the bad things first, and then I always try to find something good out of it, something positive. Because
don't you have to do that though? I mean, as a coach, don't you have to figure out where they need to improve?
Oh yeah.
That's what makes you a good coach. Right. Is finding the improvements. But I mean, there's a way you can go about it and not be
nice.
I know.
Yeah. And I kind of learned that approach because before I was just like, you need to do this, this, and this. So then I'd be like, I'll do that, and then I'll be focus on well, you did take it out better this time, or whatever. So.
And certain people you can do it with, and certain people you can't too. You have to know.
Not everybody has that Westside mindset.
Yeah, exactly. It took me a while to learn that, but not everybody has Westside mindset.
Yeah. When you started going out and doing seminars, then you're face to face with people that kind of really aren't there, and you're seeing you're trying to teach people how to squat and all this other kind of stuff. How long did it take you to get used to that? Because that's a whole different level of...
You mean as far as seminars versus coaching?
Yes.
Like, it's pretty quick, honestly. Usually the people who come to seminars have some powerlifting experience, you know. It's a few cues. Air, neck, brace, squat is pretty much the way we do it. If you do that, you can squat. You know, if there's little things going on, we'll sit there and we'll try to fix it. But for the most part, I'd say 90% of people, air, neck, brace, squat, they got it. It's down, you know.
What are the most similar things that you see when you're doing the seminars with,
as far as
if they're say on their squat, if things are breaking
mistakes?
down? Yeah.
So usually something happens with the feet. Usually they're on their toes going forward as opposed to sitting back. That's a big one. Bracing, usually we go over bracing for a little bit first, you know, teach bracing. And once they get that, usually everything's okay. Yeah, it's usually sliding forward on the toes is the biggest one.
Yeah. So you're teaching the squat first, then putting them underneath it.
Yes, exactly.
Putting them underneath and teaching them while they're there.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you teach the squat from? Because everybody has got a process, right? Do you teach it from the feet up or from the bar down?
I teach it from.
Or
how
bar
do you
down,
go about bar down. Yep. Start from here and go down. Yes.
All right. So you're gonna start with their head, their upper back, and then work down from there.
Yep.
All right. What are the questions that you see more prevalent when you're doing the seminars? Not online, but when you're doing the seminars.
What do they ask? Little questions about squatting?
Just in general about
just powerlifting?
Yeah.
Let's think here. What do they ask me about? Usually people want to know if they have potential. That's a question I ask a lot at seminars. Like, how good do you think? And the answer is there's a lot of different things we have to talk about, genetic capability, stuff like that. How much time and effort are you willing to put into this thing? What are you willing to do that's dangerous and unsafe to yourself? Because that's going to be part of it too. So it's hard to say. People want an answer like, I think you could be number 3 in the world. Like, I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. We don't know, you know.
You tell somebody that got potential, but that don't mean nothing. You know? 10 years from now, are you still showing up every day? Are you still intense that you were day one, week one?
That's why it's so hard to talk about the future, your future of the sport.
You got to love to train too, not just compete. You got to love to train.
And so much of it's just luck, just pure luck. You know. So
do you get asked that same question like that?
Really, at the seminars I've done so far, is I spent a lot of time on technique. Nobody seems to know how to box squat. Nobody seems to know how to do a lot of tricep accessories, deadlift stuff. You know, like, it goes so fast, but a lot of it boils down to technique. Like I get up to a band and chain setup towards the end a little bit, but like most of it is, you know, technique, and on all the exercises is a lot of people are clueless on how to actually like box squat or how to lift weights. You know? And I think that goes with everybody wants to lift by themselves, you know, and not like, it seems like people are more selfish nowadays too, where they're all about their lifting, their stuff. And I'm not talking about everybody, but in general, you know, like, and they don't care about watching videos to see if they could get better, or technique videos, or practice their technique, or, you know, whatever. I tell my clients, you know, a lot of them are still pretty new, like, you need to be focused on that all the time. Focus on keeping yourself tight while you're driving the whole time. Get used to feeling that way all the time. And then, and that should, and always make it hard on yourself and accessories. That'll make the meet day, you know, that much easier, you know. So that's what I try to, you know, focus on mostly, is a lot of technique. Questions I get at, really a lot of people just, they want to learn their technique is what I get questions about. Like they want to see if they can get better. Everybody seems to learn, you know, a lot during, you know, I don't know if it's applied, but, you know.
Well, that's good to hear, because it's, when I first started doing the seminars, the technique was like a new thing to everybody. They all wanted to know what exercise do I need to do, which is a big one. The potential one's always been one. I even get that now if I do an AMA on Instagram, you know, how good can I be? And it's a weird fucking question, like, for a lot of reasons, like you said, but, you know, if they don't believe in their self to begin with, then they're not going to do very well. And if they're asking that question, they probably don't believe in themselves.
So what I say is, there's a couple of different things we can look at. Okay, first of all, what are your first numbers at your first meet? I think that's going to be a telling tale. Are you winning best lifts of the meet you're doing? Are you, like, where you're standing? Where you're in the flights? Are you last in the flights in your contest? Like, that's going to tell you probably where you end up at. You know, the size. Were you a stud athlete in high school, college, you know, whatever? Like, there's going to be things that you don't all of a sudden at 33 years old start lifting weights and all of a sudden realize you're a fucking god of strength. You know, Maybe sometimes, but I've never seen it happen.
No.
So what you find really is most people, their starting numbers and their ending numbers aren't that far apart because they only last a few years now, you know? So I put on 500 pounds for my first meet, which I did raw, to my last raw meet. I put about 500 pounds in my total. Now there's a stroke in between. I was multi-ply for years, but about 500 pounds. So, you know.
Well, you already said
you
there's
weren't
a lot
starting
of
from
shit.
the beginning either.
Yeah, what's that?
Yeah.
You weren't starting from the beginning.
No,
either. Like
no.
you had already been super strong.
Oh yeah, I was like,
you know?
trying. Yeah.
Well, you already said a lot of shit can happen between point A and
Yeah,
point B.
right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of bad shit happening in there.
You never tell what somebody's going to do in 5
No,
minutes.
yeah, it's impossible to say.
Anything could happen.
Right.
Sometimes it'll take 4 years to put 5 pounds on a lift where, you know, the other thing I'll put back at them is what exactly is my answer going to do that's going to change what you're going to do over the next 3 or 4 months?
Right.
Right. So if you're training for a meet now, what exactly in the next, if it's 4 months, if I say yes you do or no you don't,
Right.
what are you going to change?
Yeah, it's going to be different.
You know, it's like
what's the matter? You know?
Well, the genetic thing's a weird one to me too because you don't know if you have genetic potential until you at least put 3 or 4 or 5 years in to find out.
Right.
Yes.
I think you would know though beforehand from stuff you did beforehand, like football, wrestling. Generally, what I see is the guys coming from those sports do well in powerlifting. So I think there is a little some
anybody that has a
some
foundation.
information. Yes.
Foundation.
Yeah,
already,
foundation. Right. You know. So what I always say is that the best feeder sport in the powerlifting. Everyone says CrossFit. No, it's not CrossFit. The best feeder sport in the powerlifting is pseudo bodybuilding. You know, those guys that played football and wrestled in high school took like 3 or 4 years after high school to get big, went from 205 to 240 lifting weights, then start powerlifting. Those are the guys that I see have the most success.
Because they already have the little muscles strong.
You learn how to play sports already. I have a lot of guys, you know, starting at 30 years old, they've never played sports, and it's like it's so confusing for them. You know, the idea that you have to go compete and do this by myself, and you know, so I think that's sort of what I go by when people ask me that question. You know, what have you done already to this point?
Right.
You know?
The other question that would fall up there with some of the most popular would be, how do you know when you're ready to do your first meet?
That's a good question. Now, there's no answer for that. You know what I mean? So I trained from 17 or 13, about 13 to 19 before I did my first meet. So 6 years, and I was already very strong. I had a great base. I went in and won best lifter at my first meet, beat the state champion. So I don't know. I tell people build a base for a while. I don't think there's a direct answer. You know, I guess when you're comfortable, you know, whenever you're comfortable, would be the best answer. You know, when you feel like you're comfortable enough to get on a barbell and doing a contest in front of people. The thing I find though is I have a hard time talking people into doing contests versus not doing contests. You know, that's been the biggest thing lately is people don't want to do contests, want to train. Which, like what you're saying, base building makes sense. But like for somebody who's already at a decent level, you know, do some contests.
Right. Yeah, if you haven't done one, you've just been training. Yeah,
5 years.
I can't tell where you're going to be in 5 years if you don't
do it
right now, and we can get some numbers on the board,
exactly.
Get some percentages and whatnot.
Exactly.
My advice has always been just do the first meet.
Yeah, just get into it.
You know, win. Like, I don't give a fuck next weekend.
Nobody's going to know you were there. Nobody's going to remember you were there. Nobody
45
cares.
different classes now, so you can get first no matter where.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know, just do the first meet. Don't bomb out and don't miss any lifts.
Yeah.
You know, go for 9 for 9. Because then you got a starting number.
Right. You can go. Right. Exactly. And that's the reason you have to keep doing contests too, so you keep having new numbers to go off of.
Yeah.
You know, people.
Fun.
You know, I see people do this for like 3 years. They're like, I'm not getting stronger. It's because you use the same numbers usually 3 years ago. You know, your numbers have to move up. You have to pay your numbers.
You can't do
off
the same exercise all the time, same scheme.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, some of your posts crack me the fuck up. Right? So we talked about that earlier, and because I know kind of where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And so, what are when I say, the way I'm going to frame the question is, what are your frustrations that you see in the sport of powerlifting? But I know you're not really frustrated about it because you really don't care because you've got 1,000 clients you care about
I'm doing
more.
great. I'm doing
so
great.
it's more just kind of like trolling type of shit.
It's funny. I'm having fun. Right?
Yeah. So but what are some of those things that you're seeing that are where do you get your inspiration? That's the question.
I go to contests. I go to a lot of contests, you know. And people think I'm talking shit about them, their contests, and I'm not. It's about everything I've seen for the last 10 years, you know, since I'm on Westside. The biggest thing I'm seeing, again, is this idea that it's going to be fast. Like, most of what I see at meets now are people leaving from CrossFit. And I love CrossFit. I have no issue with CrossFit at all. I think CrossFit, I work at CrossFit. My friends are all CrossFitters. But they'll do CrossFit for however many months, don't want to run, don't really want to do CrossFit anymore. So they'll start powerlifting. Soon after they do their first meet, and that's going to be the first and only meet they're ever going to do. And that's what bothers me is you got to do this for a long time. Like anything, I don't know why I have to explain this to people. You have to do this for a long time to be good at it. Like anything.
Any sport, yeah.
Any sport.
You have
anything.
to be obsessed. Too.
Obsessed, right?
You gotta live.
And so,
live it.
Right, exactly. And that's what I'm seeing at contests. The coaches or CrossFit coaches have never been to a meet before, asking me what the flights are. Like, so that's what I'm usually talking about. And again, do I care? No, I'm doing fine. But it's kind of annoying.
Do you get, I know you will, but the question is more geared to you. Do you try to, do you feel like people are trying to position you and pigeon you into multi-ply is better than raw?
Like usually the other way around.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. So, but I made sure to have a good raw career. So at least a few years ago, put up some decent raw numbers, so I wouldn't have to have that conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I mean, neither one's better than the other one. It's really just a matter of where the more competitors are for me anyway. That's all that matters. I don't care if putting on gear or not putting on gear, where the competitors at,
Yeah. But that was the thing when we competed, like in senior nationals in 06, we had 3 people in our class, and we started at 9 a.m.
Right.
Our three divisions, 198s, 220, 242s.
Right.
And we started at 9 a.m. and I was one of the last deadlifters, and I took my last deadlift, and I think you went after me, like at 2 a.m.
Right.
So that meet lasted that long, just for 3 weight classes.
Yes.
There was like 40 or 50 people in everybody's weight class, and it was all equipment, you know. And now I got a client doing nationals here in July, and I think he's the only one in his class as far as equip goes, and it's just loaded with raw, top to bottom.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I like raw, to a point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it needs to be, if you're going to have clients and you're going to work with them, it kind of like needs to be embraced because there's not other, it becomes that thing where, I don't know what that becomes in the future, if it becomes, where people move to after they start getting too dinged up.
Right.
But
it makes sense.
It would make sense, but they're not dinged up enough yet after 10 years.
Right.
So the people you would think would migrate over, you know what I'm saying? If we go back to like what Louie would be saying, and they're going to, sooner or later, they're going to end up in gear. Well, they're not fucked up that much yet. Right. And then after a decade, they may just retire.
They're just good at that point,
It's a fucking decade, man. It's a long fucking time.
Yeah.
It's people will shake their stick at that and say that, they ain't been around long enough. Like, dude, fucking 10 years is a long time.
Long fucking time, right?
Happens in 10 years.
The amount of time it takes from your life is insane. What we're going to be good at is insane. You know what I mean? Crazy. I can't imagine having a kid and doing this at a high level. I wouldn't be able to do it.
No, it'd be hard.
Yeah.
What's the most impressive thing that you've seen him do in a meet?
Oh, definitely that 1060 squat.
Good.
When he took it out, it's probably the greatest thing I ever seen. He took it out and fell forward, and then they pick him up. He gets around. He's like, "Are you guys all right?" I don't know why. He good morninged it down, and he said, "Can I take it again?" Stood back and did it, and it was amazing, to be able to do that fast. But then I think, if you would have sat and thought about it for a while, that you tipped up, you probably wouldn't have been able to come back.
Did that happen at the same, so he didn't leave the platform?
No, he didn't leave the platform. They took the weight back up because he didn't squat it. He just tipped. He's like, take it, and they tried to rack it, and it just fell, and he good morning it down.
I used to get extra attempts sometimes, though. If I,
This dude, we were in York, Pennsylvania, and he bombed out. We'll put it out there. Bombed out. 3 misses the squat. Somehow Lou talked the judges into a 4th squat, and he goes on and wins the meet. And we're all like, "What the? How did this happen, man? How did only Greg Panora would get 4 attempts?"
Yeah. Well, in his defense, when I looked through his open powerlifting shit yesterday, earlier today, he only bombed out at 2 meets. He should have been 3, right? So obviously it should have been 3.
Yeah.
But that was out of like 35 meets.
He is an impressive record, that's for sure.
That was a bomb out, But what happened was we talked Matt Smith into going up and saying that he was grabbing me before he was supposed to. But there really was a problem with the platform too.
It was.
When you stand up on the platform, you sink down, and so I was stand up with it and sink down, and I fall forward, and so my friend was like, "Just take the fucking rack height down," and I was like, "Oh yeah." So we did that on a 4th attempt. So I honestly probably should have had a much bigger squat that day.
The carpet at York sinks you down when you have like over 900 pounds.
But nobody else got 4th.
No,
just the golden child.
I bombed at that meet in the bench. I didn't get a 4th bench.
Yeah,
Louie didn't talk then. Where you at there, Lou?
Oh man,
I had fucking Louie. Well, I had one. It was I forget which meet it was. It was a juniors or some shit like that. And Louie's calling my numbers on the bench, right? So it wasn't like 500, whatever it was. I fucking bombed out because my ass came up every single time. So I smoked the first one. Louie's like fucking. Let's say it's 500, 550. So I go 550. Fucking 600. I go 600. I go that, and then I'm fucking bomb out, right? He's calling my numbers up each fucking time. Then in the warm-up room, he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? You gotta get." I'm like, "Dude, I bombed out." Right? He didn't even fucking know.
No,
right? Like, you were calling my numbers. You didn't fucking know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, why in the fuck am I taking a PR right now if I need to figure this shit out? The bench was too, lower than normal. That
sounds exactly right.
I remember when Lou got on Kick saying we couldn't handle weights down anymore, like bringing them down like slow or whatever. And it's like, yeah, Lou, that's because you've been teaching us to pull them down for how fucking long. And so we're pulling them down. How are we supposed to control them down?
Yes.
Faster way down, faster way up.
Yes, that's what he told us. Yep, 100%.
Same question for you. What is the most impressive thing that you've seen him do in a meet?
His deadlifts. Honestly, it's not even meets. It's tenacity. Just the way. I mean, look at this fucking guy. He fucking on dialysis, still killing shit. He just wouldn't quit. You know what I mean? Which for me was everything because I wouldn't quit either. So him and I going head to head was what made me a good lifter. So I owe everything to him, honestly. So it's not so much his lifting. His lifting is incredible. Always an incredible lifter, incredible deadlifter. But it was just his mentality, his tenacity. And that's more important to me than numbers. More important to me than lifts.
At what point did you realize maybe you need to quit all the partying and all the other kind of shit and just kind of get your shit together?
I'm still trying to, Dave. I'm still trying.
Yeah. Well, you got 1,000 clients. Things are coming together.
At about 30, I don't know, what was it? So I had a pretty bad arrest DUI in 2008. And that's sort of what made me say, okay, I don't know if I should still be acting crazy. And I kind of stopped at that point. It was the last time I got arrested. So I'm doing all right. They made weed legal, so I'm good.
Yeah. Well, I've had so many people text me stories about you. Like as soon as they knew you were going to be on there, like, man, you got to ask him about the time he was on an elevator and completely forgot he was on. And I can't even remember half of them because they're all pretty much you.
That was Trevor.
Yeah, you just blanking out about some shit. And I'm like, I don't even know what this is, how to even start.
I was on an elevator. Me and Trevor Jaffe were doing seminars, and I was on an elevator. I took a bunch of edibles earlier. I was high out of my mind. I think we should be able to talk. I don't think we were doing a seminar yet. And so I went down the elevator, and the elevator wasn't opening. So I kept sitting there. I kept sitting there and pressing one. And the door's not opening. I'm like, what the fuck? So I call up Trevor. I'm like, hey, Trevor, something going on here with the fucking elevator, man. The door won't open. And he's like, well, what's going on? I'm like, I can't get down on the first floor. He's like, you're on the first floor. So yeah, I have a lot of moments like that, but I'm a dad now. I'm go to bed at 10 o'clock at night now.
So you obviously enjoyed that seminar that you presented at.
Oh fuck yeah, fuck yeah, they're always great. Yeah.
You guys have done seminars recently together, or
no?
You were going to do one, and then you had your transplant.
Well, maybe we should now.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
You want to do one?
Yeah, it'd be cool, man.
All right, so I'm going to plug this right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Luke Edwards, Great Panora Seminar. Come into town, hit us up.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
And when you structure that seminar, what would that look like? So you can do the seminar, which is great. Great promo, by the way.
Probably.
So I'm going to show up, like, what the fuck are we going to do? Are you going to get high out of your mind and just tell jokes?
No, they're going to be hands-on moving. They're going to be working.
Get some jokes.
Yeah, learn technique. Learn some Westside stories. Learn a few more Louie stories, Have a good time.
We kill it. I think we kill it.
It's a great time.
So we're going to do it.
It really is. Yeah. I look forward to it, for sure.
Me too. I love them. I've done one.
Now we just got to find a gym.
Yeah. Someone hit us up. We'll come see you.
Yeah. Looking back on when you guys were training together, what's the biggest takeaway of that? Not the Westside, but you guys, because their nucleus is what we were talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd say it's an unbreakable bond that we have because I knew that this guy was willing to go to the depths of hell to do whatever to win, and I know that carries on in his life. He lives his way like that, and so it's respect. That's the people I respect, the people that aren't normal. The ones that make life a little interesting, a little fun. Normal's boring.
Normal's boring.
I think it's just a strong bond that we have, especially from the crew from like 2000. 7-ish, 8-ish to like 2012. Like we were a tight group. You know? Like we used to go to birthday parties, a bunch of us, or we'd eat out after. We'd get in a fight during the gym and go eat like Subway or Waffle House after. You know, so like it was a real messed up situation. Like I don't know, we were like family, but it was like a disoriented family or something. You know, like
How many do you stay in touch with now, outside of Greg?
Not very many. It depends on the time. Like I still stay in real good contact with AJ, Tony Bellagoni when he's in town, Matt Smith, but that's about it, I think. Yeah.
That could be AJ. So this may be it's Matt Smith, by the way. Greg being oh shit, what's this? Wait a minute. Greg being a pirate in Lake George.
Oh shit.
I should have texted people before we started this one, so I need to know what this is about.
Pirate story, yeah. So we were out in Lake George. I broke the world record that day, and Matt Smith, myself, Travis Fletcher, Chuck Vogelpool, and I went out for drinks after the contest. And so we went out and got absolutely hammered. Matt was driving because I don't think Matt drank. So we went out and got absolutely hammered, driving back. And me and Travis, you know Travis, right? Travis, yeah. So we were doing pirate impressions. So we were, yar, matey. And Chuck was losing. Chuck was getting so mad. Chuck was getting madder and madder the entire ride. So we'd be real quiet for a minute and then do it again. He would lose his mind and we'd stay quiet for a minute and do it again. And so finally we pull up at the hotel and Chuck jumps out of the fucking car while it's moving. He's pulling up the hotel and Chuck jumps out as the car's moving to get away from us. And then we threw some lawn chairs off the back of the hotel. And I think Mike Brown got in trouble. Remember Mike Brown? I think they blamed him for it. Yeah, that's crazy. We had a lot. I mean, but there's so many times like that, you know, so many great moments and stories and crazy shit you do in your 20s, you know. Yeah.
You remember after the one competition we went to like this like bar, dance club or whatever, and there's all these like Asian.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
Like I don't know if they were prostitutes, call girls, or regular people. I don't know. But it was they were all dressed up real. Yeah, they were up real nice. They dressed real nice, and it was a bizarre place.
Yeah, we were just having drinks like what was happening right now.
We were just watching the entertainment. Like what's going on here?
They were selling them, so I'm assuming something going on. I don't know what was happening.
Greg keeps things interesting.
I didn't know we were going there.
Yeah. Was that a normal thing after meets?
Go drinking?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Every meets.
Well, fuck, I should have asked him. That's a normal thing for you during the week anyhow.
Yeah.
It was.
That's why it pissed me off training with him so much, because I would be drinking the water I'm supposed to, eating the way I'm supposed to, sleeping the way I'm supposed to, you know, doing everything you're supposed to do. And this dude would show up half-cocked, you know, like hungover, late, and still beat everybody. Man, that's just it's pissing me off right now talking about this shit.
I'd be young again. Can't do it anymore.
Do you think you would have been better had you not done that?
No, I don't. No, not at all. No. I think I had to keep myself in that crazy mindset all the time to win.
Yeah,
I think it would have been way worse. I think it's what made me. Yeah. You know, that sounds the same, but
living a life of chaos.
Yeah, chaos. Complete life is chaos all the time. Yeah. No, it fueled me, man. It worked.
Yeah. I remember he showed up to a meet one time, and I don't think he ever had a gym bag, or he lost it or whatever. He comes in with a laundry basket.
Laundry basket for shit.
Yeah, for a gym bag. Yeah, he did.
That was awesome.
He showed up one time, forgot his belt.
Yeah.
Needed to borrow somebody's belt.
Yeah, I
still went on to squat something big.
Yeah. I saw Jerry O's belt, so I go to contests. People like, Jerry, you look great, man. It's good to see you back on the platform.
Yes, Jerry O.
Big letters on my belt.
He showed up to meets fucked up.
Yes.
Yeah. Me? I've heard some stories where they had to pull him out.
No, him. Did he?
No.
I was on point, Beats.
No. He was on point. Like,
yeah.
So maybe that was part of the strategy. If you train fucked up, then you clean for the meet. You gotta be better.
Absolutely.
You train when you feel like shit.
If I train when I feel like shit, I feel like great. I feel good. Right. Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
No, I was always pretty. You know, powerlifting was always the most important thing to me. So partying was never kind of get in the way of that. And it didn't really, honestly. No. You know, I could still come in and do what I needed to do. I was 26, you know what I mean? I was having fun. I was living my dream, you know what I mean? It's like when you see like these stars and stuff, like football stars or something like that, they'll make a bunch of money and blow it all or something stupid. Everybody's like, oh my fucking God, I can't believe they could do that. Yeah. They would do that. You would do that too. I would do I would have done the same thing had I had any real money. I didn't make any real money.
That's for sure.
If I had money, it would have been way worse.
Oh my God! Think about that for a minute. That's what I'm trying to fucking process right now. Like if powerlifting paid $50,000, $100,000 per fucking winning, or $1 million,
I'd be dead.
Oh my God! What would you have been doing? Right, because now you wouldn't have been going to Hilltop, right?
Living like a rock star.
Yeah, rock star, exactly.
Yeah, he wouldn't be getting fucking hit in the back of the head with a gun on Hilltop, right? He would have been.
I probably still would have been there.
Yeah, the best, most expensive strip club in town.
Throw some real money down.
Yeah. Not taking ephedrine, fucking hitting cocaine like it's going out of style. You'd be dead.
I'd be dead. I mean, absolutely 100% be dead. Thank God I made no money.
Yeah, so when they talk about the pro athletes like they do, you got to actually admire it because they got to dial it down.
Yes, exactly. How do you,
They could afford for it to be way worse.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, for
absolutely.
Yeah, you're stealing drinks off the tables of other people, right?
Yes, exactly. I'm just 25 a year. Yeah. Exactly. Do what I had to do.
Yeah, I'll have to take another bathroom break real quick to process this. America Health is a premium telehealth platform specializing in hormone optimization and preventative medicine. Are you looking to optimize your health in and out of the gym, improve recovery, sex drive, and quality of life? Have you tried speaking to your health professional about this and have gotten the cold shoulder, stereotyped, or just told it's part of getting older? You just go to americahealth.com/table talk, and you can create your own lab, or you can take labs that we've had set up for them, which are based upon the same labs that I've been doing over the last 15 years. Or you can use their guided optimization. With this, they'll put you in touch with a patient care coordinator, which is actually pretty cool because you get to sit down and speak to somebody that can understand what you're looking for from hormone optimization and the preventative medicine standpoint. After that conversation, they'll determine which labs that you should and which tests you should have done, and then from there, get the labs done. They'll review those labs with you and put you in touch with one of their hormone optimization specialists that can determine which supplementation that you should use over the counter or prescription. americahealth.com/table talk. The discount code is table talk. Today's episode is brought to you by First Detachment. Are you looking for a supplement brand that truly understands hardworking athletes? Look no further than First Detachment. 1D's real world experience is what I would consider, and they consider, battle tested. I have known Justin Harris for pretty close to 2 decades. And if there's anybody that I trust with nutritional and supplement needs, it's Justin Harris. If you guys have followed me and have followed the podcast, you pretty much already know how I feel about the supplement industry. For me to get behind any brand, I have to trust the brand and I have to trust the person both. And I'm pretty sure you guys all know why. When it comes to creating formulas and putting products on the market, and there's nobody that I trust more than Justin Harris. While I love all of their products, I'd suggest that you check out the Field Rations and WTH first. Go to www.firstdetachment.com and use the code TABLETALK10 to save 10% off each order. The link is in the description. I want to let you guys know that we just had a limited edition drop on the website last week of new items that sweatshirt, flannel, t-shirts, shorts. Basically, the limited edition items are the items that directly support the Table Talk podcast. So if you go to elitefts.com/limited edition, or actually just the link in the description, you can find the limited edition items that we have now, which there's the one that I like the best is the shit suck good great, which is all emojis. The designs I always like the best, right? They're the ones that don't sell for shit, but they're the ones that I want to wear that I like the best. And there's the cigar one as well. And they're all there on the screen for you guys to be able to see. So if you go to elitefts.com/limited edition, the other thing that directly helps support the podcast that I haven't talked that much about is the Table Talk crew. The Table Talk crew is extra edition episodes that go out once a month. The content of those episodes are AMA related, question related, that come from the Table Talk Discord group, which is also part of being in the crew. When you're in the crew, there's dozens of ebooks that are in there. There's every seminar that we've ever done is put on there. There's courses that are put on there. There's series that have put on there. The original YouTube channel that we had for many years, before we migrated to the newer one, all that old content is on there. There's discussion groups for just general training, fitness, life, nutrition, basically everything that you can think of is on. So just go look at what that is, or better than that, just go to the description, click on join the crew. That helps directly support the podcast, which is how we're able to keep this thing rolling. Today's episode is brought to you by Element, a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything that you need and nothing that you don't. In other words, no sugar, no artificial coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, and no BS. With the Element, I love the watermelon. The watermelon tastes freaking awesome. I drank 1 pack every day, no matter what. People that train out here, it's sitting out here for them all the time. The boxes don't last very long. Right now, Element is offering Table Talk listeners a free sample pack with any purchase. That's 8 single serving packages free with any Element order. Get yours at drinkelement.com/Table Talk. The deal is only available through the link in the description. The other thing is, if you don't like it, you can just give it away to a salty friend and Element will give you a 100% refund. No risk, money back guarantee. Head over to drinkelement.com/Table Talk.
Today's episode is brought to you by EliteFTS.com. Founded in 1998 with the primary aim to live, learn, and pass on. Please help Elite FTS support this mission by smashing the like button, leaving a comment, sharing with a friend, and thinking of us for your training needs. If you can put it in a gym bag or load weights on it, Elite FTS has it.
What's going on? I'm Dave Tate. We are broadcasting from the middle of the Elite FTS weight room, where the underground still thrives and you're part of the crew. It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk.
Brings back memories.
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready now.
We're ready. Let's go.
Yeah.
I was at the Arnold. I found this Russian ammonia. It's liquid. I was like, do you drink it, inject it? What the fuck you do with it?
What do you do with it?
Oh, the restaurant ammonia?
No, Russian ammonia.
Oh, Russian stuff.
Russian,
yeah.
It's like liquid.
What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do with it?
I imagine you smell it. I don't know. It was strong smelling.
Yeah. All our eyes are red right now because we just hit the ammonia. We've been talking for 3 hours, so we needed a bump. So
We're ready.
Summer breeze, man. We're ready to fucking roll. But so no, yeah, our eyes are all shot, right?
Yeah, I need another one.
So we need another one. Yeah.
I'll wake you up.
Yeah.
Have that next to my bed in the morning.
All right, so to launch into this section, what would be the advice that you have for not beginner lifters, but intermediates that want to become better? Mm-hmm. So they're past the point that it's a hobby, they want to take it serious.
For
the first
most people, which is most of my team starts at that level. Most of my team is people at that level that you're talking about. And the biggest thing is adding muscle. The biggest thing we have to conquer usually is nutrition. So I have a nutritionist on my team, Jay Ashman, if you know him, does my nutrition. So for most people, it's getting bigger, it's putting muscle, getting more muscles. You know, it's that simple. And honestly, getting on a competing routine, getting on a routine to compete every 6 months or so. I think it's so important that you're doing competitions as a lifter. It's the most important thing to me.
I think they need to know that it's a marathon, not a sprint. You know, like not be in such a hurry to break all-time world records or try to or whatever. You know, just enjoy the process of the journey. You know, each day at a time. Take each day at a time.
Yeah.
You know, that'll keep you from burning out, you know, so fast. If by chance you don't get what you want, you know, all these numbers, they disappoint you as opposed to just taking your time to get there.
Yeah, but did you know that when you were doing it?
No. This is why I teach it, because that's what I did when you know, I was all like, now, you know.
We all were. I mean,
it was like, what can I do now? What can I do now? What can I do now? What can I do to get better? But now, and I try to give the people when I coach people, I try to let out the bad things that didn't work for me, and not use them, and because I have good things and bad things that I've done, and so I try to just only give the stuff that worked, and not the stuff that didn't, Yeah.
It's hard though talking to people at any level, because again they're looking at it from a viewpoint. This is going to be a 10 or 15 year process, and how many people actually last 10 or 15 years?
Yeah.
So few.
Yeah.
So that's always the hardest part for me about is not to set wild goals.
Yeah.
If you don't, for me, like when I set a goal, I have to do it. I can't not do it. And I feel like people throw around these goals like, oh, my goal is to be a world champion. My goal is to total 2,400 pounds. And it's like, do you have any idea how long it's going to take? How much work what you have to do it. I'm not saying you won't, but you might want to start with some smaller goals first.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
The perception of time it's complicated,
Yes.
right? Because if I'm talking to somebody about an objective or a goal that they're going to have, and say it's going to be 3 years away. Right. The way I'll approach that now is, you remember during COVID when everything locked down, remember all the bullshit that was going on? Everybody's like, oh, fuck yeah, I remember that. That was 3 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. So like, holy fuck, that was 3 years ago?
Right.
That's what the next 3 years is going to be like. It's not that long. So when you say it's going to take 3 years or 4 years, in the grand scheme of things, that's not that long a period of time if you think backwards.
Right.
And everybody already knows,
right?
And then it makes a little bit more sense, because even if you think back to something that you did a year ago, it's like, fuck, that seems like just weeks.
Yeah.
Now, if you think forward 3 months, it seems like an eternity.
So long away, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if they can wrap their head around that, I think it's a little easier to process.
Right.
Even business-wise, because people that start businesses, like, they want this now, this now. It's like, dude, you have no idea.
Right.
It may take fucking 10 years before you make anything.
Yes. Brutal.
Your client base, how long did it take you to build that base?
9 years.
9 years.
9 years, yeah.
Yeah, so you got people that are starting now, right, that want to have...
They want that run off, right.
Yeah. That's a decade.
Oh, yeah, so it's crazy. And, I can't remember what I was going to say. Never mind.
Well, your client base, the business, the decade?
The decade, the business.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he's out. He's out. He's done. Give him pneumonia. Give him the ammonia. Yeah.
No, I can't remember what I was going to say. I had a point to make, but I can't remember what it was.
Well, we're talking about perception of time.
Yeah, it wasn't about that. It was something else.
All right.
I was thinking to a different point. I can't remember what it was.
All right, that works. That works. With that, if they're thinking forward, or if you're kind of advising them thinking forward, how do you have them think about topics such as, say, injuries? Because they're going to come.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we're going to do our best to minimize them. We're going to do everything we can to minimize them. If they come, well, I have a PT. I hired a PT on my team, Andrew Bazorski, and hopefully he can get you back. So we definitely have them occasionally. They do happen. Yeah. But I honestly, as a coach, I want nothing to do with that. I don't want to deal with injury, recovery. I don't want to deal with any of that stuff. So I have a guy do it for me. Yeah. So that's what I do.
That kind of puts, for all of us, it puts us in a weird spot, though, right? Because you know what you did. I know what I did, but I can't fucking legally tell somebody.
That's why
what I did, right? But a lot of I want to, right? Because it's like, and they want to know, but you're handcuffed.
Yes,
like you can't. It's like, okay, so take your fucking 16 weeks and do your stupid shit. No. Like I can fucking, I can't even talk about it now, right? But so you got to find a way to pivot around it,
right? Exactly.
Or get yourself in a crew of friends that can't be sued, for whatever it's going to be.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. With us, we just try our best to minimize them. We don't have a lot. The only real injuries I've seen with my team are bicep tears, honestly. We've had a few of those, but guys that went from 600-pound deadlifts to 800-pound deadlifts in a year.
Well, the reason I put that out there, and I'm sure you guys seen this, for a lot of lifters that are pushing that envelope, that will break them.
Oh, yeah.
One tear, they're done.
Oh, yeah, no question.
Especially if they've always been injury-free.
Right.
Then
it's a lot.
It probably is a fucking lot. Yeah. But for other people, it motivates them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's like, fuck this.
Right. Yeah. I had my quad tear, and I was like, awesome. Now I can only bench. This is going to be great. So I put on a huge bench.
Yeah, you're still pissed.
For a few months, and then I was kind of happy, to be honest with you. I was like,
a few months. I was only pissed for a few months, right? I'm thinking like a week.
I was pissed for a few years before, man. Yeah. No, I was definitely pissed, but I was happy I could bench, so... use it and get better.
Yeah. No, I'm on those same lines of us not being a fucking doctor and having any ability to prescribe or recommend or anything like that. But if the drug thing comes up, as you talked about a little bit earlier, there's decisions that are going to have to be made based upon which route they're going, right? It can be debated if a drug-tested route is really or not, but we'll leave that aside because it's usually not going to be the people we're speaking to. But on that other side, there's that element as well, where you can't tell them. We can joke around about stuff that we did, but what advice would you give as far as just labs, shit like that? Because I'm sure you didn't know labs.
No, of course not. No.
But if somebody were to ask you now, would you suggest that they do labs?
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely, yes. I didn't know. I mean, I don't think we knew. I mean, you probably weren't doing it either. Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, I would absolutely say yes, absolutely. Yeah. We have a lot more information now than we had when we were coming up. So, there's a lot of stuff like that I would absolutely tell people to do, yes.
Yeah. Well, the access wasn't there either.
Right.
There wasn't people available to help mitigate side effects.
Absolutely.
Or, hell, if you walked into the doctor for anything, you were chastised. Yeah. I'm sure it was terrible for you. I can't imagine what that would have been like. To be able to do and go through that.
Yeah. Every time I've been to a doctor and talked about steroids, the only thing every one of them told me is I'm going to die. I've never heard any of the side effects, or I never told them how much I was taking or what I was taking. It was just, you're going to die. It was like that simple.
You'll die.
You take them, you die. It's that simple.
Kind of like Ronald Reagan and the marijuana stuff. Like marijuana so bad, you take it.
You will die. There's nothing. There's no other side effects.
Said I took ibuprofen and fried my kidneys.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Perfect.
Yeah. I guess I'll plug Merrick Health, right? Because they're one of the sponsors of the podcast. They do labs for people and they help mitigate side effects.
That's awesome.
So the link is in the description. They have, it's actually pretty cool because they have a full panel. It's what Serrano used to do, still basically is my doctor. But each year, even when I was doing stupid shit, not 3 grams, but
I wasn't doing 3 grams.
3 grams. With a base of 3 grams. But he would run a full panel every year, and for the most part, it was okay. I mean, for what we would consider okay for what you were doing, it was okay. It wasn't until I got older where it just went to fuck real quick. And then it was like, oh, shit. Yeah. And then after getting out of powerlifting, because it's weird when you're in, because you kind of want to know, but you don't want to know, but now you should know. But a lot of it was you didn't want to deal with a fucking doctor.
Right.
The bullshit associated. That was the biggest thing. Yeah. Where, American, you can get a hold of them. They're not going to fucking judge you. This is what they do.
Right.
Then they'll help mitigate. Like you can go, people, I know people have gone in there taking more than what you're talking about. Right. And they're not telling, they'll probably will tell them. Good idea to take less, but they're going to help mitigate. Like, I wonder how much better you could have been if you took some blood pressure medication, right? And this is the question I've always had though, is if I could have mitigated the side effects, I know I would have taken more. There's no fucking doubt, right? Because you stop because you're too bloated and you felt like shit. What if you didn't feel like shit?
What if you, fuck, who knows?
Right? Then you're drinking a whole bottle of Hallow a day, right? Where
eyes are bleeding.
Yeah. But they had the full, they also have a Consolidated. It's a smaller panel that you can have more frequently to be able to keep up to date with it. 'Cause it's not as expensive either to be able to put out there. Link is in the description. 10% off your first order. Table Talk. I think just go to the link in the description. I think it's Table Talk is the discount code to be able to put in there. Anyhow, I kind of had something like that, with the doctor I had this whole period of time. But I've also seen, I was lucky, right? That's just, because you said earlier, there's still luck that plays a role in a lot of this kind of stuff. So that kind of played a role into there. And when it first started, the conversation really wasn't even about mitigating side effects or stuff like that. It was as being legal. Like, dude, you got a business and kids and shit. You don't want to get put on a list and fucking get nailed for having tests. Which we joke about now, but it happened. I mean, we all know people that fucking got busted 100%. Or it ended up being leverage, with a wife that was leaving, and then all of a sudden, he's taking fucking 9 grams of shit, and now this becomes part of this big fucking legal battle. All this other kind of shit. We saw that
Westside a lot,
Oh, I'm sure. So it's with that, the takeaway is get your shit checked.
Get your shit, absolutely.
And it's more than likely part of the process.
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
And to not be, it's hard to say, don't be an idiot.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody's going to fall for that.
Right.
Whereas knowing what you know now, would you have pushed as much shit?
I didn't take that much shit.
All right, well, fuck it. Would you have?
No. Like I said, the 3 grams, we weren't on that long, 6 weeks. But
if that happened, I don't remember.
You know what? Let's talk about that for a minute, because we should make that noted. That I don't want people to walk away thinking that you're pounding fucking 2,000, right?
So
or 2 or 3 grams all the time.
Right.
There is a period where it's going to taper way the fuck down.
It was just for one meet. It was an experiment.
Yeah,
it didn't work.
Yeah.
We threw it aside.
Yeah.
I don't think I was part of it. Maybe I was. Sounds like something I would have done. I don't remember that though happening.
He's probably the one that told us Big Iron took 2 grams.
That's probably my idea.
It's probably him.
Very well may have been my idea.
Well, I think sometimes there's a point of diminishing returns, but you don't know what that is until you find out yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Even training-wise, you're going to push the training as hard as you fucking can until you find out, fuck.
Right, exactly.
I can't recover from this.
Right.
With all the other partying, right?
Right.
You're going to party as hard as you can until it fucks up your squat workout. Then you're like, fuck, I should have stopped at 2 instead of 4.
Had a few of those,
Yeah. Did you ever party all the way through and just go straight to the gym afterwards?
Oh, yeah, quite a few times. Absolutely.
So what did that look like? So the bar's closed?
I remember once, so the bar was closed. We went to somebody's house afterwards, hang out for a few hours, then went to the gym. Mm-hmm. But my buddy Andy was usually with me during these things, so him and I would be out all night and go to the gym. Yeah, quite a few times,
Meanwhile, they come in baked and you're pissed.
Yeah, I was pissed. I'd be pissed all the time. And it's more because he would beat me. I didn't care what he did inside. It was just that he beat me. Like, if I was beating him, this wouldn't be a conversation.
I wouldn't be here.
I wouldn't care, like.
It seemed like it's what I had to do at that time. You know what I mean? I felt like I was somewhere crazy. I had to be crazy to do crazy things. If that makes sense. And it worked. I mean, it definitely worked. Yeah. And nothing really that bad happened, so we're good.
Yeah.
I think, though, he was only starting to scratch his potential, though. Of what
he might be right. Yeah, he might be right.
Had the partying and whatever not caught up with him, I think he would have been something freakishly, a freakishly huge total. I mean, not that yours isn't already, but I mean, even bigger.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because he probably would have went up to 275, maybe 300, 308 or whatever, and eventually probably totaled 3K. I mean, he was just starting to peak, really.
Yeah.
Well, I believe and you've been around people like that, there's a certain mindset of lifter that we can say that, right? But something bad's still going to take them out, because you're not going to quit until something bad happens. Right. And so at what point can that become detrimental? Right. You see what I'm saying? So it's, I can't even say it. So I want to say, fortunately for me, my shoulder, I couldn't grab a fucking bar, after 23 years. Had I still been able to, I would have kept going, and my total still wouldn't have gotten any better.
Yeah.
I just would have kept going, because that's all I fucking liked and loved to do.
Right, exactly.
And then at what point does that become what it becomes, right? Where sometimes that abrupt stop forces you to that next chapter,
100%,
which fucking sucks to say.
Yes,
it's killing me to fucking say it, right?
But it's the truth.
Sometimes it's the truth, and it's necessary, right?
100%.
And some people that doesn't happen to.
Yeah.
And then it just
keep going.
Yeah, and we've seen people that are like that, where it's still. It doesn't mean that you still don't think back and wish the fuck you could still do it.
Right. See, I don't care. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good with where I'm at. I'm good with what I did. I'm glad I'm still healthy, So, I had a goal, a plan when I started. I was going to be done by 40. I said, at 40, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I did. That was good. Worked. So, but as far as you gotta have to dial it back at some point. You know what I mean? You can go hard forever, I think, but you're gonna have to dial it back, switch up your game plan a little bit. And the people that don't do that end up in this fog, basically, where they're hitting the same numbers, it's going down year after year. And I didn't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? So I went into like half-ass bodybuilding style.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you train now?
Like a half-ass bodybuilder, yeah. Push a box around the room with weights on and shit. Weird shit I came up with.
Push a box around the room. What the fuck does that even mean?
So I work at a CrossFit. I work at a CrossFit. So they have those giant boxes there. So what I do is I put dumbbells on the top and I push it around the turf. And man, it works. It's got to be fucking jacked and strong. So that's four of my days. I have a lot of that. And then just bodybuilder the other days. Yeah. I still do heavy bench day though. I still bench heavy.
Yeah.
I can't stop. I love benching.
And what about yourself? Because what limitations do you have, or not any at all?
Limitation. I pretty much, for a long time, I wouldn't be able to put a squat bar on my back, and I still don't know if I am because it puts a lot of pressure on my neck. Mm-hmm. So like I can't I don't know if squatting's worth not being able to lift my neck for 3 days. You know. Mm-hmm. So I've just recently started back squatting a little bit. We'll see how it goes, but yeah. But that's probably about my only limiting factor. That and coming back and trying to get a little stronger and in better shape. You know, after a setback. You know.
You're a bad man.
A lot of setbacks. If I had 9 lives, so I was born with 9, I'd probably use just about every one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we still sit here and wonder, you know, is he going to fucking be competing in 2 years?
Right. No, I want to stay married. Two ways I can stay married is not compete and stay in therapy. Those are the two. And take my meds. Those are 3 things that I have to do.
I get it.
And I like my life where I'm at. I love it actually, so I want to stay there.
Yeah.
I want to stay in the house I'm in. And so, but had I not had the setbacks, like for the kidney stuff and all that, I don't know what would have took to get me out of there. Probably, I always said if Lou died, I'd be done. And once he passed, like I went in that gym like one time after Westside, and I can't go anymore. I can't. Knowing the old man isn't going to talk shit anymore, you know, or all that. And people are always like, you know, they ask me all the time, like, do you miss it? Do you miss it? Blah blah blah. And it's like, if I could go back 15 years ago. Yeah, I miss that. Right. I miss that crew we had. And I miss talking shit with Louie, and I miss, you know, just having conversations with. You can't do that. So no, I don't want to go back to that sport and compete, you know.
Right.
Because I can't go back to that. I'm not ever going to be as strong as I once was, you know. Like
100%.
You know, I've had so many setbacks that it's just the way it is.
Yep. But you did a lot too, man. You know what I mean? It's not like you just you didn't fizzle out. You put up a hell of a career, you know what I mean? One of the best of all time. So
well, does that matter? I mean, looking back now, does that matter more than the memories?
No. The memories are wrapped up in that too. You know what I mean? Like, you know, for me, it was a dream. I started having it 13 years old. I wanted to do this and be a world champion, and so I did it and I accomplished it. And so that's all wrapped up in numbers too. But no, I mean, it's the friendships and the bond that we had. You know, him and just the Louie, and just being part of that was, you know, that's what it's about.
Yeah, it's like we were miserable, but in a great mindset at the same time.
Miserable together.
Yeah, it was like, you know, because you're miserable because you feel like shit. You know, who wants to train super early in the morning? You know, like, you know, I get off work at 11 p.m. I got to turn around and be at the gym by 7:30 a.m. or whatever. You know, like, but yeah.
But isn't that fucking life in general, though?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to be 100% happy. That's not the fucking point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? The point is to do all the shit that you don't like to do that allows you to be happy some of the time.
Right.
I wish at the time I would have enjoyed it more, the process.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
But it was awesome. But like, I think that's how we are in life. You know, we don't enjoy stuff right now. We're thinking about the future.
Next step.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think having almost died a few times, it's gave my perception a little bit different to where I'm just thankful for another day.
Yeah.
You know, because there was a lot of times I didn't think I was going to make it to another
100%.
day. So I'm here today, breathing, and I feel good. You know, and hopefully it'll be tomorrow too.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think that validates what Greg was saying earlier, that you know people need to think longer term. You know, like for whatever that's going to be.
Yeah.
But if they think then. If you're too short term, you're not thinking about what you just said.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to accumulate those memories.
Yes, right.
You know, where it's always easy to say, you know, I would try to enjoy it more, right? But if I really fucking believe that, and if I really embrace that, I'd be trying to enjoy my life now more.
Right.
But I'm not. I'm still driven the same way I was then, just for other shit.
Right. Yes,
so I don't believe my own bullshit.
Right.
You know, but I can at least have enough to pause.
Right.
and think, you know what, this is cool.
This is cool, right?
But sometimes you're just never fucking satisfied.
Right.
It's like, this is cool. I like what it's
That's
been.
how you can get better. You know?
Yeah, but fuck, I still need to do. And for me, coming up through a fucking a game of numbers, totals, god damn, that fucks with your head, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do. You know, you might have 1,000 clients right now, but god damn it, you want fucking 1,010.
I want 2,000.
And if it drops down to fucking 998, you lose your fucking mind. It's like fucking it's $40.
Yes.
You know,
it's not about that though.
I know
it's the numbers.
It's fucked up, man.
Yes.
That I have a hard. At least I recognize it.
Yes.
But man, I have a hard time with that shit. It doesn't. It can be fucking Instagram reels.
Right.
It's like, I made $200 last. Fuck it. Fuck that. I need $250.
Right.
Like, it's stupid.
If I end up losing a client, I take it real hard.
Oh, me too.
And my wife's like, this is why you invest too much in your clients. Like, you need to chill back and not be so upset.
Yeah, 100%.
I always thought it was the training or whatever, but like some of the people that dropped off, they just hired me for like a 12-week meet prep or whatever. And they didn't tell me at the time, like, bro, am I going to wave a wand and get you strong? Like, if you're competing every 10 weeks or 3 months, I'm not going to get you strong. You know, like, we've got to train. This is the part, like, they were like, oh, I'll just train on my own and then I'll come back to you. I'm like, I don't know, buddy.
That's not gonna happen.
I don't know, man.
See, that's a big thing. That's something I've had to deal with. This fucking whole 25 years I've been in business because of what Louie was saying. We're always a month out from competing, and there's no off season. And like, well, there kind of fucking is, right? And there needs to be, because when people are hiring coaches just for 12 weeks before 16 weeks, all you're doing is kind of peak. You're taking
peaking.
what they have and you're peaking.
Right.
It's like they need the coach, and outside of that, you need the coach to fix that shit. Then, so when you get, I call it the starting gate. So when you get to the starting gate, whatever that is, 16 weeks out, you're better.
Right.
But they don't. They only hire people to go down that final lane and then expect to get better. I'm like, you're actually hiring somebody at the wrong fucking time.
The worst time.
You can go find a fucking 12-week peaking program. Hire the guy in the office. Just flip your script.
Yeah, you look hard enough, you could find it online or whatever.
Thousands of them.
Yeah.
The training, you know, that's...
Hire the person for the unquote or whatever off season.
Yeah.
And then use the fucking peaking
all the time,
time.
right?
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
You know, or better yet, you know, stick to somebody with over a period of time.
That's probably the best way.
Because you still got to figure them out.
Yeah. They got to figure you out too. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Everybody on my team, we teach technique the same way to everybody on my team. So it's like any other sport you play. So everyone comes on my team learns how to bench press, squat, and deadlift the exact same way. And from there, we'll make changes. But you got to be on the team for a long time for that to happen. So he'll watch you lift weights for more than a 12-week period. You know. So.
Yeah, I agree. Completely. I like the people that are in it for the long haul.
Yeah, yes.
The ones, I have a guy, he's lifting at Nationals coming up, and I said, hey, man, you plan to keep on going? He's like, bro, we're doing this until I'm done, you know, and I like them guys, you know, because that's how I was, all in, you know. You ain't sort of pregnant. You're either pregnant, you're either in or you're out.
You're in or out.
Well, I think either way, though, they're still all in it for the long haul. They just don't know it.
Right.
Because even if they quit competing, you got to find some way to wrap your head around you're not going to do this, because your identity gets locked in there. Somebody has to help you realize you're not that person anymore. You know, but you want to be. You know, and you still should train.
Oh yeah.
You know, the comparison I've always made is you look at bodybuilders when they retire, most of them just downsize. You know, still have fitness and part of their life. Powerlifters, they retire and they're just done. You know, they fucking gain 50 pounds.
That's crazy.
Sit on the porch drinking beer, and it shouldn't be that way.
No, it shouldn't be that way at all.
You know,
it's not hard to keep a lot of that size and strength too. I mean, I've been able to do it pretty easily. You know, you just got to keep it. You know, really, it's about diet. Diet is you stay on, keep eating well and training hard. You'll be great. You know, it's your 40s, 50s, 60s.
That and consistency.
Consistency,
you show
right?
up all the time.
Right.
You know.
The strength is a mind fuck, though.
Oh, it's a huge mind fuck. Yeah.
I mean, that's the mind fuck.
I think I probably know that better than anybody. I had to start super light several times. I remember when I got cleared to do 10 pounds, and the doctor didn't say how long to do 10 pounds. So I was in the YMCA taking 10-pound stuff and just doing 50 reps as much as I could. You know, I think he was talking about like picking up a gallon of jug like once. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do 10 pounds.
All day.
You know, so yeah.
Yeah, for me, I fight to keep my bench press above 500 pounds. That's the one thing I would not let go is that. So I've kept training for that, and everything else I've kind of just, you know, try to get healthy and be fit and jacked, I guess. So it seems to work well. Having a powerlifting background too made it so much easier, you know? Just had a little bit of fat, get a little bit leaner. It was easy.
Outside of the number thing, right? Because the weights, you know what I'm saying? It's like, fuck, you know, it's for the people that I've had to mentor that leave the sport, because they leave the sport, then they're the drugs. A lot of things are changing, right? Yeah. The number one thing is just don't do any lift that you know how strong you used to be.
Right.
Like just invent some fucking bench press, like fucking feet up, eyes closed.
Yeah, find ways to change it around so you can feel good.
Whatever, so you don't fucking know. So when you get up, you're like, did that suck? And then don't let anybody you know do it with you, right? That way you just don't fucking know, right? But if you go and fall back into like reverse band green, whatever it is, like you know exactly what.
Oh, yeah,
like,
exactly.
No, but put 8 more bands on that motherfucker, so I don't know.
Yeah,
you know, it's just some shit.
Right,
you know? I guess we learned that from Louie. You know, he had a PR for every grip.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
You know, so use a grip you never used before. Yeah. Right. It's
a new PR.
Yeah, like my 2 more fingers in, 400 pounds under my vest, man.
That's okay though.
It's still PR.
Yes. You can make that okay in your head.
That's what's nice about conjugate. Everything can change.
Yeah, it can change always.
All the time. All the time. Were there any topics you guys wanted to talk about that I didn't bring up?
Not really. No.
I don't think so. I don't know. I
think we got everything.
Nah,
probably more than they wanted to hear.
Yeah. I'm probably. You know, it kind of flew by. How can people get a hold of you?
Probably my Instagram, Big Poppy Panora. Hit me up, Team Panora. Start training with me. Let's do it.
I actually have a website. It's called edwards-strong.com, or you can hit me up on Instagram, Luke Edwards 5x_pro.
All right, I want to thank you guys for coming out. This was a great. Well, you put something in there he didn't say.
He had to write underscore above the underscore.
Okay.
I had underscore just so I remembered, man.
I feel that.
Well, it's got to be right.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you got to write. We'll make sure we put.
That's why I have it written out here. Too.
Yeah, we'll make sure there's a link in the description to make it fucking easy for everybody, man. It was great having you guys out.
Thank you so much. It was a blast.
Fucking time, guys. We're done.
Awesome.